to 6,664. The NASDAQ up 120 to 22,642. Now let's check sports and traffic with Captain Paul Kopsky.
The Blues are back at home tonight as they welcome the Blackhawks to the Enterprise Center. Chicago is coming off their first win of the season Monday night over Utah. And Mizzou running back Ahmad Hardy has been named the College Football Hall of Fame Player of the Month. Hardy currently leads all of the SEC in rushing by nearly 200 yards over the closest competitor. I'm Paul Kopsky from the Royal Banks of Missouri Sports Desk, and now on to traffic. Eastbound 64 is congested from a mile east of 157 in Illinois to 159. Taking a look at some drive times, it's a 13-minute ride from 270 in Olive down to 44. It takes 6 minutes to go from 64 and Vandeventer out to 170, and 10 minutes from 55 in Arsenal down to 255, 270. From the KTRS Traffic Center, I'm Captain Paul Kopsky on the Big 550 KTRS.
Thank you, Captain Paul. KTRS weather today, partly cloudy, high of 84. Tonight, clear, overnight low of 60. Tomorrow, mostly sunny, high of 82. Right now, we have 83 degrees. The time is 3:07. I'm Sobe Bay, KTRS News, the talk of St. Louis.
Don't get lulled into believing the IRS is getting soft. It's just the opposite. Hi, this is Lance Story with the Lance Story Law Firm. We are being told by IRS collection officers that their higher-ups are demanding that they get more aggressive than ever. So don't ignore them any longer. Level up. If you have unfiled returns, unpaid taxes, levies, or liens, call the Lance Story Law Firm today and let us get between you and the IRS. We'll protect your rights, including your right to appeal or even your right to take the IRS to tax court. Remember, IRS problems are legal problems, and they need to be handled by an expert attorney team who's done it for decades. So call the Lance Story Law Firm today. We're local. Our office is right here in St. Louis, or visit Lance, DRURY, law.com to schedule your free consultation with your local tax resolution law firm, the Lance Story Law Firm, 314-260-6120.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
Watch your favorite team, eat your favorite food. It's the Village Bar. You've heard about the world-famous cheeseburger. Stop by and check it out. Even better, bring your friends on your way to the game, after the game, or just watching the game. Food, sports, and a cold beer. We'll see you at the Village Bar.
Here we are again. Happy Wednesday, hump day, as they say. Heidi Glaus here with Bob Ramsey, Josh Gilbert, and we've got a lot to get to. We have really started to lean into our professor of linguistics, Valerie Fridland, and she's going to join us here in about 20 minutes to talk about the language of politics. And I have so many questions about this. I think it's a really interesting topic. I want to know about some of the terms like witch hunt and fake news, and how long have those been kind of words of the politicians? Mm-hmm. Or is that rather new? And then, Josh, you were saying people can tell how you voted by the way you say specific words.
Yeah. Do you say Iraq or Iraq? Iran or Iran?
Very interesting. So we're going to talk to her about all of that coming up at 3:30. And if you have a question for Valerie, let us know on the KTRS text line 84126. We'll also check in with the Jordana Miller, get the latest on what's happening in the Middle East. In the 4 o'clock, I think we can all agree that AI has infiltrated almost every part of our lives, whether it is looking at your phone or if it's commercial on TV. But how does it affect the housing market or real estate agents? And we're going to talk to Lauren about just that and find out what you need to kind of be skeptical of. So that's at 4:20. We'll also learn a little bit more about this crazy case of fraud. Connie Bobo, I don't know if you've been following this, was supposed to be taking money to give to hungry kids and apparently never did, and instead was buying $1 million houses and even homes for family members. So Jacob Barker is a reporter with the St. Louis Post-Dispatch, and he's going to join us with a little more info on that story because I think Connie was supposed to be in court today, expected to plead guilty, but did she? And what are some of the new twists and turns in this crazy case? Then at 5 o'clock, I'm looking forward to this. I have always admired Pete Williams. You remember seeing him
very good
on the news for years, a longtime journalist. He's also the former Defense Department spokesman under George H.W. Bush. But you have probably seen that the current Defense Department is asking different news outlets to sign an agreement about what they can and cannot basically say. So we're going to get Pete's take on all of this. One, we'll find out what is the real request here from the Defense Department. Two, how's it different than anything that has been happening in the past? And then how does it affect the common person like you and
If
me?
you're covering the Pentagon, I think anybody who's in the business would say, no, you don't get approval
Right.
of what I write. So that's why I'm interested
To see.
in the hubris, apparent hubris of the Pentagon.
And I've seen a couple of professional journalists and people that have worked in the building say this is actually harmful for the Pentagon and for the secretary himself, because not having that rapport with the journalists in the building, you don't have an outlet when you need something to get out.
Yeah.
You know, they're not there anymore. Or,
Right.
you know, they're
Yeah.
not
It
picking
works
up.
both ways.
They're not picking up your phone call
Yeah.
when you want to get out a good news story about them.
Well, I did see that, and this was several sources, that Pete Hegseth actually did like a waving emoji to all of the outlets that did not
The bye-bye.
sign on, kind of like, forget it. So we'll talk about that at about 5:10. We'll also check in with Alex Stone. The average car cost has now topped $50,000 for the first time, which just sounds ridiculous. And who can afford that in this age of everything already being crazy expensive? That's coming up a little later. We've got some entertainment news, and then we will wrap this show up with some randoms. I had a great morning. The last 2 mornings, I feel like I've gotten so much done, and I'm wondering,
Me too.
doesn't that make you kind of start the day a little happier when you can see that checklist kind of get marked off? But I put my dad to work today
Oh.
because I had a
Was that
couple
on the
of
checklist?
it was on the checklist, and I've been asking him to come help me do a couple little things. And I just have to give a shout out to him because, I mean, I know that this is what he did for so long. He was a shop teacher before he was the VOTEC director. But there's so many little things that I didn't know how they work. So 2 things. I needed to put something into a brick wall. And so thankfully he also shows me as he's doing things. I wanted to hang a water hose hanger, like a
On the outside of
on
the
the
house.
outside of
Yeah.
the house, so that the hose isn't just wadded up in a corner. And so, he went right to the crease of the brick where the mortar is
Yeah.
to drill in, and we, hung that, which was fantastic. And
Good.
then I had a couple of curtain rods that were pulling out of the drywall.
Oh.
And so at one point, we're both on this ladder, and I'm thinking this is not a good idea because we're trying to both reach up, and we have pretty high ceilings. So anyway, we finally get the old one out, and we don't have the proper, what do you call the little plastic anchors that go
The
in?
drywall
And
anchors, yeah.
how big they are. So we end up going to our favorite little hardware store in Soulard, which, again, it is unlike any of the big box stores because
Sure.
you walk in and you're not even 5 feet into the store. And I'm talking about a deli and Mertz. And there are 2 people coming toward you, not running away from you, as my father would say in some of the big box stores, to say, what can we help you with?
Isn't
And
that
as
great?
soon as we said, this is what we're looking for, come on, let me show you where it is. And they just have everything.
And I've heard maybe on this radio station that it's the smell.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Have you heard that, Josh?
It'll be playing here in about 4 minutes if you haven't heard it.
No, but that is great to have that kind of special service.
So fantastic.
Yeah.
Just all the great things they have. I think that's 4th generation hardware store now, which is just great. So anyway, we got those little spacers, and then he was showing me this other metal one and how it all works. And so let me tell you something. Those curtains are never coming down
the metal
again.
one where it goes in, it's got like a toggle that comes out.
The toggle one.
Mm-hmm.
And I said,
did you use that? What you used?
We did use that, and this is what I said. Why did I have to take home ec instead of shop? Like, who teaches you to use that little metal toggle, and in what situation?
Mm-hmm.
When do you use a flathead screw versus a Phillips? What is it good for? You know, I mean, these are things that people need to know.
And I'm very thankful that every time I try to hang something up, it's big, because the first try always puts a giant hole in the drywall.
Mm-hmm.
And then I get it on the second try.
Right.
But thank God the picture I'm hanging up is covering the first try.
Yeah.
Because, you know, it's a quarter-size hole.
I'm certain I'm going to jinx it, but I have had pretty good luck in kind of eyeballing and getting the pictures right where I want them.
Yeah.
But now I know the very next one. Now I'll destroy it. So.
And what I want is lasers. I need more lasers in my life.
They got a laser thing that you can put on the wall. And
well, I don't have one.
Those aren't even that expensive.
No.
I need to have it so that it just shows a grid up on the wall. And do they have these?
Yeah.
And I could just go up and mark the spots and do the hammering.
Well, you could if you get the one that's got the line that goes all the way across. We want these to be level. And
I need more
But
lasers.
I will tell you, in our house, which was built in 1876, I think, you can use that laser. You can use a level all you want.
It's not going to work.
It's not going to look like it is centered. So you got to eyeball most of
Have you
that.
ever measured everything out and then hung it up and it looks crooked?
Well, of course.
But then you get the level out and you put it, and it's the bubbles right where it's supposed to be. I have tilted things to where they're not level.
That's what I'm saying. There's nothing level in our house
but
after
they
all
look-
these years.
Yeah, it looks right.
So it looks right.
But
That's
if you
the
put
main
a
thing.
level on it,
It's off.
yeah, it's way
Probably
off.
the floor's got a little bit of a.
That's right. Or
maybe
maybe
1
the
degree off,
ceiling.
or
Or
the
it's-
ceiling. Yeah.
I mean, all of it. And, I mean, how's this settle through the years? And so it's one of those things. Somebody said, Heidi, yes, that stuff should be included in a high school course. Somebody else said, I wanted to take shop in high school, but folks said no. I love learning how to do things if I'm physically able, right? Yeah, somebody said the hardest thing to do is hang multiple pictures at the same level. The
Yes.
back hook part of the frame is not always in the same spot. And when a wire cable is used to hang it, the slack is not the same on each one.
So what I do, and if you're watching on television, or on
YouTube and Facebook.
so you've got your so you got to get your finger there and then figure out on the front where that would be.
Yeah.
And then you've got to remember when you hang it on there, it's probably about an inch. And so just kind of figure all that out and then lay it on there and you'll be fine.
It's so funny because Susan just said, I love hearing how your dad is doing some handiwork for you. I miss having my dad for so many of those things. Cherish those moments. It's true. And I do know how lucky I am because I remember, and I've shared this story too, when I first moved here and they were still in New Madrid. And I mean, I can't remember growing up ever having a plumber come in, ever having an electrician come. Like he just did all of that.
My dad did everything.
We never took our car to get the oil changed, and so all of a sudden I'm here in St. Louis, and my dryer was kind of thumping around.
Perhaps the biggest regret of my life is not listening to my dad more.
Exactly.
I saw him do it, but I was too dumb to learn from it. Built a house completely, everything himself, by himself.
Right.
Put in, our central air conditioning in our house by himself. I mean, he just there are people like that.
Oh my gosh.
But
People
fewer
like
and fewer
that,
of them.
and I think more so in a certain generation. And now, and that's what I was kind of going to.
Sure.
All the guys that I was working with, I mean, I did finally find one, but they're like, I have no idea how to fix that. And I just kind of thought, that was
Everybody
something
did
that
that.
they taught. And it's like, we need to know more of these little things.
And I've gotten to the point your dad would probably just shake his head at me and walk away. But like even with simple plumbing and thing, because I know how to do it, but I'm always afraid I'm going to mess it up.
Yeah.
And then make the problem worse than it already is. But, I can change faucets and washers and the insides of a toilet and all those kinds of things.
I tried to do the inside of the toilet, and I had to call somebody, not like a plumber, but like my brother came over and he had to do it because it just wasn't doing what it was supposed to do. We replaced 2 toilets, and my sister-in-law came over and did it because.
Well, Tara Ship's very good at things.
My sister-in-law is great,
Mm-hmm.
and she's willing to do things for a price. Something
barter
less,
system.
That's
something
right.
less than what the professionals charge. I don't know where I would be if Josh replaced this toilet. I'd be like, okay. And I thought it was connected to the floor. I don't know. If you
I know
go
how
in
you're
there,
supposed to do it, but it freaks me out because what if I don't get it sealed on that ring just right? I'll make a disaster.
I
So.
feel like if I moved it off, all of a sudden water would just shoot
It
out.
could.
And
It actually could.
Somebody said my sister
Like
and I
the
own
Stooges.
and live in a duplex. We don't have Heidi's dad to help us, and we were trying to drill into the brick to put on shutters. It was pretty ugly. We ended up gluing them to the brick. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
I am so I've only lived in one brick house. I'm so afraid of drilling into it because you're going to crack the brick. Well, do I go into the mortar? Well, you never want to drill into the mortar. I don't know how to do it.
We did drill into the mortar for
Into
the
the
main
mortar.
thing. Yes.
But you need a special drill for that. You need like an impact drill to get through all that.
No. I mean, we didn't. We used the regular,
Just a regular
hand drill, but maybe the bit was a little bit different.
What do you want to put up on the brick?
Oh, it's just outside stuff,
Heidi's
More
dad.
Halloween decorations.
Halloween decorations. I think what we were hanging at the time was a not a thermostat. What do you call an outdoor thermometer?
A thermometer.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
An outdoor thermometer.
But now I've got siding on the house, and I want to put a television out there.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to start drilling into my siding and then crack a whole piece off.
Well, you
of
have
it.
to make sure there's a stud behind
The
there.
studs, I asked how'd you do that? He goes, well, it's in the side of my garage. I just walked to the other side of the garage.
To see where it is.
Yeah.
Or you
thing's
could
on
have
the,
a stud finder.
this thing's on the side of my house. The other side of it
Lady
is my
lives
kitchen.
down the street from me. That's a stud. That's another thing.
What's her name?
Yeah. It's so funny. It is interesting, though, the things that you probably should know and things that you don't. And just watching today, I felt like I learned a little something. But I'm with you, Bob, on certain things. Like I know how to paint a room. And I've done it several times.
Mm-hmm.
But when I go into the one room that I painted, I see all of the drips that I left behind and maybe a few drips on the floor. And I feel like if somebody else does it, I don't see those as much.
I'm just terrible at it.
Mm-hmm.
Terrible at painting.
If you go into my hallway on the main floor and look up at the ceiling, everywhere where the ceiling meets a corner is just covered in the wrong color paint. it's really bad.
But you saved yourself a lot of money.
That is true.
Right.
Yeah.
Just don't look up.
Just don't look
I'm
up.
trying to find a picture. My wife, in our office that we have, she wanted a whole wall, like a grid of travel photos.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
So
yeah.
we printed them out, and in these 9x9 square frames. But to the texture's point, the hanger on the back's not always in the same spot. I had 15 of these, 3 rows of 5 across. It was the worst thing that I ever did.
We
It
did
was the
something
worst thing.
similar, and I actually did it twice because I had it in my house before I moved in to this house, and I had a bunch of my favorite albums framed, and I wanted it to be just perfectly in the big square, and I think I had 12 of them, same kind of thing, and trying to get the exact inch between each one and getting it is a pain.
And I did all the math And then when I started to hang, I go, I did this completely wrong. So you got to go back and do the math again.
Well, I would say even today on the first curtain rod, we kind of did it twice before we got it right.
Curtain rods drive me crazy.
Crazy, but at least these aren't falling down anymore. Somebody said I always enjoyed watching how things were repaired, even if I couldn't do it myself. At least I understood the process, and I completely agree with that. Well, you guys,
I was just going to say the phrase is what? Measure twice, cut once.
Yeah.
My phrase is do it twice, and on the third time you'll finally get it sort of right.
And mine is measure 3 times and then have somebody else check.
Yeah.
Because it probably wasn't right. You guys know what we have coming up. First up, our professor of linguistics, and we're talking about the language of politics. So hopefully you'll hang out with us here and be a part of the show on the Big 550 KTRS St. Louis.
Some of my fondest memories as a kid is heading down to the hardware store. You had to pick up a couple of nails, a couple of screws, maybe a gallon of paint, whatever it may be, right? It was your friendly neighborhood hardware store. Well, those don't exist anymore in St. Louis, except for Schnarr's Hardware. They have 2 locations in Webster Groves and in Clayton Road in Ladue. Schnarr's Hardware is that place where you go in and you can get that bucket of paint, you can get a couple screws. The advice is always free. And the one thing about Schnarr's Hardware that every single family hardware store used to have, and that is the smell. It smells like a hardware store. It's got the selection. I don't know how they do it. It's a small store, but they got everything you ever need. They got the paint. They got paint matching. They've got big green eggs. They've got screws and nails and everything a hardware store should have. Schnarr's Hardware, 2 locations, 1 great hardware store. Schnarr's Hardware, we'll see you there.
John Beal Roofing has been proudly serving homeowners and businesses in the St. Louis metro area on both sides of the river in Missouri and Illinois for over 3 generations. A dependable roof begins with a team you can count on, and that's exactly what you get with John Beal Roofing. Recognized as one of Roofing Contractor Magazine's top 100 roofing companies, John Beal Roofing offers 24/7 emergency service and industry-leading warranties, including a lifetime workmanship warranty for total peace of mind. From upgrading an aging roof or completing a full replacement, the team at John Beal Roofing delivers solutions that are built to code, built to last, and handled with expert care. John Beal also responds quickly with reliable storm damage services backed by decades of experience and 24/7 emergency support. Get started today for expert service and a free, no-obligation estimate by calling 1-800-NEW-ROOF. That's 1-800-NEW-ROOF.
A lot goes into taking care of your property. You need equipment with more reliability and versatility built in. Like Kubota BX and L-Series compact tractors that get the job done right. Z-Series mowers that deliver a quality cut, and Sidekick utility vehicles where durability meets speed. Visit your local Kubota dealer for a demo today.
Stop by Oakville Equipment for a test drive to see their full line of Kubota tractors. You can also visit them at oakvilleequipment.com.
Hey, Ed Brock, everybody. If you love Halloween like I do yourself a favor and visit Johnny Brock's Dungeon. Why shop those tiny pop-up shops when you can shop 30,000 square feet of locally owned Halloween fun? We're open all year at I-44 in Jefferson on the edge of Soulard. Johnny Brock's Dungeon, a St. Louis must-see.
So here's the deal. If you're driving around and you've got some dings and dents and you start to notice them now a little bit more because the sun is out and you drive, wait a minute, hold on, I didn't see that before. Guess what? You need to get to Dents Express. They've got 2 locations on Manchester, in Baldwin, and in St. Charles. Whether it's dent removal, hail damage, minor collision, they'll work with your insurance company, handle all the paperwork, and then when it's ready, they'll come call you and you can come pick up the car for 30-plus years. Dents Express. STL.com.
I'm Bob Hardcastle. Listen to my Money Talk radio program every Sunday morning from 8 to 9 a.m. on the Big 550, where we discuss your money in an easy-to-understand manner. We have interesting guests, chat about money. We try to help you feel more comfortable with your money by talking about the investment market. Join me. I'm Bob Hardcastle.
Money Talk, Sunday morning at 8 on the Big 550 KTRS.
You're listening to the Heidi Glaus Show with Josh Gilbert and Bob Ramsey on the Big 550 KTRS.
It is 3:30. Time to get our first look at traffic with Captain Paul Kopsky.
Heidi, eastbound 64 is congested from a mile east of Illinois 157 to 159. There's a stalled vehicle on the southbound 270 on-ramp from Missouri Bottom, and southbound 55 is running a little slow at South Broadway. This traffic report is brought to you by Dents Express. Drive time can be hectic with traffic, weather, and fender benders. Dents Express can help with hassle-free dent removal, minor collision repair, and hail damage repair. Free evaluations, and they take care of the insurance paperwork. They've got 2 locations on Manchester and Baldwin and in St. Charles. DentsExpressSTL.com. From the KTRS Traffic Center, I'm Captain Paul Kopsky on the Big 550 KTRS.
And now, KTRS weather.
I'm First Alert 4 Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton. Another mild morning and warm fall afternoon on the way for Thursday. Low of 61, a high of 82, sunny skies. We do that again on Friday, a little more cloud cover, partly cloudy and a high of 83. Falls into the mild 70s, though, for your evening activities Friday, and it will be dry for Friday Night Football. Saturday, though, a needed chance of rain, but we do have a chance for some storms. Could be a couple strong storms in the afternoon to early evening Saturday. That's the latest on the First Alert 4 Weather Center. I'm Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton for the Big 550 KTRS.
Well, it's hard to avoid politics these days, but have you ever given any thought to the way politicians speak? Valerie Fridland, a professor of linguistics and author of Like Literally Dude, Arguing for the Good in Bad English, is back to discuss. We're always so excited to talk with you.
Oh, I'm so glad to hear that. Well, it's fun to come on.
Well, let's start, if we can, with some of the terms like witch hunt and fake news. Are these new terms, or have they been around for a while?
Well, fake news, is kind of feels old by now just because we've heard it so much. And it really did come in fairly recently compared to a lot of terms that we think of as political. But it's, something that I think we've heard throughout the ages whenever we're talking about things that aren't accurate. Maybe they talk about news, that's a fake news story, but using it in this kind of catchphrase sort of way that's really what's new about it, as with a lot of the things that politicians say.
Yeah. Does all political speech come with a strategy?
It does, but not necessarily a conscious one. There are some very clear signs of people using words to be political strategically, and I think woke is a great example of that, right? That's certainly come across as a way to be pointed in your political affiliation or to sort of accuse someone else of a different kind of political ideology, and that's definitely a strategic use. Certainly there are phrasings of how we might call things. So, for example, we might think of tax reform language is often determined how you speak about it by your political persuasion. So there was, I think in 2014, there was an inheritance tax that was being debated, and the Democrats were in support, the Republicans against. So the Republicans called it the death tax, and the Democrats called it the estate tax. And of course, that's strategic, but as a linguist, what's more interesting to me are sort of the more subtle ways that we signal political persuasion, particularly politicians, but also everyday speakers, not from words, but from the sounds that we use, particularly vowels. And that's really fascinating to me.
Tell me more about that.
Okay, so I'm going to spell a word, and I want all three of you to pronounce it just without thinking about it how you'd naturally pronounce it. The word is spelled I-R-A-Q.
Well, I say Iraq.
I say Iraq.
Iraq.
Okay. So just there we have a difference in the pronunciation. And when researchers have looked at the pronunciation of that word, which varies both in the first vowel and the second vowel. So you can say Iraq, right, or Iraq, or you can say Iraq or Iraq. So there's really 4 different ways you can say it because those 2 vowels differ in a couple ways. Well, if you look at the history of the typewriter A, so that's what I'm going to call that A, the way it's spelled is, just an A. When we look at how people nativize words that come from a different language with that spelled A, we find that it either is a or ah, typically. And it depends some by nationality, but it also seems to depend by political persuasion. And politicians in particular, everyday people don't seem to do this quite as much, but they tend to say Iraq if they're Republican and Iraq if they're Democrats. And in fact, in an analysis of congressional speeches about sending more troops to Iraq in 2007, some linguists analyzed all the different pronunciations by congressmen and congresswomen in that session. And what they found was political affiliation was the biggest predictor of how that vowel would be pronounced and how that word would be pronounced.
Interesting.
Which is pretty amazing. And then the people that were like libertarians or, different, not really clearly in one camp or the other, they actually tended to alternate in their pronunciation, which was pretty amazing as well.
I can see that.
Yeah. And then do the rest of us pick up how we say it from our favorite politicians?
That seems to be something that is actually at play here, but in a much more complex and subtle way. So in a follow-up study by some different researchers a few years later, they looked at just how everyday people pronounce the vowels in Iraq and Iran, because that also shows that kind of alternation. And they also did it with other words with that vowel spelled A so that it wasn't that obvious what they were asking. And when they just did it as sort of an exercise in pronunciation, they didn't find that the A vowel showed that much variation by political persuasion. So they asked people if they felt they were conservative or liberal rather than Democrat or Republican. And what they found was it really didn't matter in how they pronounced that word. What made a bigger difference in how everyday people pronounced it was whether they were multilingual or not. Because the letter written A is typically in more languages pronounced ah than ah, which is a much more American style. So that people with a lot of different language backgrounds tended to go ah versus ah. However, if you were conservative and monolingual, you were much more likely to say ah. So there was some showing, but when people were asked about that word in particular, either Iraq or Iran, those same speakers actually felt that they used whatever their politicians used, and they strongly had a sense that it was a Republican that said Iraq and a Democrat that said Iraq. So we seem to think that that's true, but we don't actually do it in our everyday behavior necessarily.
So, Valerie, not a day goes by where either Bob or myself, we don't reference the Godfather saga.
So true. Or Seinfeld.
Or Seinfeld.
Don't go against the
Now
family.
that Diane Keaton passed away, right?
Right.
I hear
Yeah.
the Godfather's coming up every day.
Godfather 2, the senator from Nevada, he's standing up on stage in front of everyone.
I know what you're going to say.
He says, I want to thank the Corleone family. But then behind closed doors, he says, well, Mr. Corleone, and pronounces it correctly. Obviously a power move. You're talking about these politicians and how they pronounce the country of Iraq or Iraq. Are they doing this on purpose, like the politician in the movie, or is this more subtle?
Well, I think you could say there is some purposeful intent behind it, but it may not be that salient to the politician themselves, but rather they're patterning after others that have that same view. And what we find is it's sort of the difference between a nativized pronunciation of the word versus a sort of more international, multicultural kind of pronunciation. So the a vowel is a very American vowel. And so in some ways it's kind of like a marker of Americanness, I think you could say. And so I don't know that they're saying, okay, I'm going to do this to kind of piss people off, but it's more, I'm going to do this to mark my American stance and my patriotic stance, and sort of oppositional to those multiculturally sensitive Democrats, right?
And maybe it's just, hey, this is how we say it in the Republican washroom, as opposed to the Democrat washroom.
Exactly.
Right.
Well, you know what's interesting, because you mentioned the A or the A versus the ah, and I see that a lot in American pronunciation of foreign countries, and I can't figure out why we feel like we have to change the proper noun words. For instance, Spain. It's not Spain. It's España. Why did we change it? And then the AI thing. Do you know anybody in America that says France? No, but it's not. We say France. And so,
Totally.
Why do we do that?
Valerie, I'm super pretentious, but I would never say France.
But do you say vase or vase?
Oh, here we go.
You know, it's really the vowels themselves. There's a linguist by the name of Charles Boberg who did a study on exactly the question you're talking about.
Yeah.
How words get nativized in English. We call that process that you're referring to where a word changes its pronunciation to match more the phonology of the language it's being borrowed into.
Mm-hmm.
We call it nativized. And what we find is the typewriter written A letter is often nativized in two particular ways, but one also sort of supplemental way in American English, or in all Englishes actually, where it's either a or ah. And that actually varies a little bit by what your native English is. So in Britain, you're more likely to use the ah vowel for a lot of them, because that is sort of become a posh, it's a little more educated posh pronunciation in that country. Whereas in America, we actually have sort of an oppositional view to the poshness of that vowel. In fact, it looks like people think of it as sort of the educated, pretentious pronunciation. And that's part of the reason, probably not at the time where some of these words were borrowed in, where it was just the way that the dialects of whatever local group had influenced the pronunciation. But now we tend to shy away from the ah pronunciation because of that association with pretentiousness, which is exactly what we're referring to. If someone walked up and said, I love going to France, you'd be like, well, I don't really want to hang out with you. And we're not having a beer.
I'm going to start doing that.
Yeah. So, Valerie, we have a couple people on our text line, and I was wondering the same thing. What about the way we say Missouri? Because we say Missouri, and then you have other people. Our former governor used to say Missouri.
I think the Missouri is actually, I don't know that much about the pronunciation of the state name, although I do know about the alternations. I think Missouri is an older pronunciation.
Okay.
And often what happens is you have new people that move into the state. And I'm not talking about yesterday. I'm talking about, a century or two ago that might have sort of done something called linguistic swamping, where their dialect became a little stronger and maybe the pronunciation moved away from its older pronunciation, or there were already competing pronunciations from early colonial dialects and influences that sort of won one out over time because a capital was made where that one was more prominent or something like that. That's probably the history of that alternation. I mean, Nevada has a big issue because, and I think I heard either Bob or Josh say it the other way, and I decided I wasn't going to call him out on it. But
Call him out. It's Josh.
I
Call
need
him out.
this. I need to be put in my place.
And that's the pronunciation of Nevada as Nevada really gets under the skin of Nevadans.
It
You're
does.
lucky I'm not a native Nevadan.
Really?
Can I say-
Same way with Colorado. Don't say Colorado.
And I never say where you teach because I don't want to say that word.
All right,
See,
so
I love
wait.
the sensitivity you have, Heidi.
She's a good person.
I want to go back to dialect swamping because that sounds very fascinating. But how do Nevadans say the name of their state? What's the proper way?
The proper way, according to Nevadans, is Nevada.
Nevada.
Yeah.
I
And
will
so this
never
is,
say
again,
that.
exactly right, that A. It's that A, that written A, and the nativization pattern. So a lot of these words are actually from languages that don't have an A or an A, or that's not typical. And the more typical pronunciation of those words would have been ah. So, a lot of people say, but you can't be right, Nevadans, because in Spanish, Nevada, which is the origin of the word, is Nevada. Well, that's not exactly right. It's a slightly different pronunciation in a Spanish repertoire, but the reality is that names are a different animal than pronunciation more generally. And we don't say Tejas, right? We say Texas. And that's because it has become American, and that's the word in American English. And so it's a weird way to argue for an accurate or correct pronunciation to base it on something that was once in history or was a different group's pronunciation. We just don't talk like that.
Well, maybe this is a topic for a whole nother segment, but you said the dialect swamping. Is there a very famous example of people moving into a place and they take
Changing
over?
it?
They take over the language. They change the language.
Well, I mean, Florida is a great example, right? It's traditionally Southern, and there's very little Southern accent left in Florida because of linguistic swamping. But another more recent example is Raleigh, North Carolina. There's been a lot of work there that has looked at how the dialect swamping of northern industry that has moved in the sort of research triangle has almost eradicated entirely the Southern accent in Raleigh in that area. But Southern speech, and this is where we can get back into some really interesting links with politics, Southern speech actually has a really interesting correlation with politics as of late. And that is where everyday speakers, as well as politicians, tend to have more Southern pronunciations when they're Republican or when they self-refer to themselves as conservative or conservative-leaning on certain issues. And we find that seems in modern times, in this century, to be a bigger determinant of whether you'll sound Southern than being from the South.
Wow. Oh, interesting.
I mean, this is why we love talking to you every other Wednesday. Valerie Fridland, professor of linguistics, author of Literally Dude, Arguing for the Good and Bad English. Thank you so much for educating us once again.
Of course. It was great to be here.
Hey, it's John Carney. A lot of conversations with the folks over at Allen Roofing, pretty much asking advice, because I know a lot of people got smacked by that storm, and he had some great advice for people to think about. First off, be careful of who you talk to when you're going to get some work done. Make sure there's an agreement, and the scope of work is laid out in that contract. Also, as you can imagine, a lot of contractors are busy. Give them some time, and you know what? Allen Roofing will come put a tarp on your roof at no charge, even if you don't use them when you get the roof repaired. Also, check the Better Business Bureau, see what the reviews are for contractors that you deal with, and also remember, insurance companies allow up to an entire year from the date of loss to file a claim. So you've got time to get those repairs done and that replacement done. Don't rush it. Just a few tips from the people that know roofing and repairs better than anyone. It's Allen Roofing, online at aroofing.net.
Are you looking for a simple, clean, budget-friendly, no surprises, no gimmicks remodel of your bathroom? Michael's Baths is who you call. Right now, when you call Michael's Baths at 636-775-0800, you'll get an estimate that's 30 to 50% less of everybody else, and they'll throw in a free shower door or $500 off a bath remodel. Michael's Baths, for 30-plus years, guaranteed happiness. michaelsbaths.com.
You're listening to the Heidi Glaus Show with Josh Gilbert and Bob Ramsey on the Big 550. KTRS.
It is 3:48. Time to check back in with Captain Paul. What are you seeing on the roads?
Well, Heidi, I see that the latest is an accident on southbound 270 past Page with a short stop and go back up to Dorset. Estimated clearance time there is 4:25. There's a crash on northbound 141 at Conway. Eastbound 64 is congested from just east of Illinois 157 to 159. We have a stalled vehicle on the southbound 270 on-ramp from Missouri Bottom, and southbound 55 is running slow from Gasconade to South Broadway. This traffic report is brought to you by Lion's Choice, the home of the legendary roast beef sandwich, made with 100% top round beef that's roasted on site and piled high on a lightly toasted buttered bun. And that secret seasoning, if you know, you know. From the KTRS Traffic Center, I'm Captain Paul Kopsky on the Big 550 KTRS.
Hamas security forces have returned to the streets and clashed with armed groups and killed alleged gangsters. Jordana Miller, ABC News correspondent in Jerusalem, joins us with the latest. I mean, this could really jeopardize a very fragile ceasefire.
Yeah, and I don't think we should be surprised that Hamas has decided to essentially execute anybody they think may have cooperated with the Israelis, with the Israeli army, during the 2 years of war. I mean, what Hamas is trying to do is, of course, reassert its authority and power and really a kind of reign of terror in the part of Gaza that it can control. Now, remember, the Israeli army is still sitting on somewhere between 40 and 50% of the Gaza Strip. And now maybe our listeners will understand why the Israelis were so reluctant to pull completely out of Gaza, right, at the beginning of this deal, because we see Hamas coming back into the vacuum in parts of the Gaza Strip, and they can't do it over the entire Gaza Strip anymore because the Israelis are controlling half of it. And that's the way that they're going to have some kind of leverage to put pressure on Hamas ultimately to step out of power and disarm, right? Things that I think are now, being questioned. Will Hamas actually do that? Or who are they who's going to force them to turn over their arms and for some of the commanders to leave and have safe passage, to leave the Gaza Strip? We see on a smaller scale that Israel already does not believe Hamas's excuses about not turning over all the bodies of the hostages, right? They were supposed to turn over around half of the hostages the first day on Monday. That was what they had communicated privately to the mediators and to the U.S. and Israel, right? And in the end, Israel got 4 bodies, and then yesterday got 4 bodies, but only 3 turned out to be hostages. Now we hear tonight, Israel time, on Wednesday night, another 2 bodies have been given to the Red Cross and to the Israeli army. We'll see if those 2 bodies turn out to be hostages. In any case, that's only 9, right? So that's less than a third. There's still there would still be even if if those 2 hostages or bodies are indeed hostages, there's still 19 bodies left in the Gaza Strip. And the Israelis have said that they know that Hamas knows where these bodies are and can get more of them, right? And they're, as one official was quoted here as saying, Hamas is playing a dangerous game. And I think Hamas is testing, in a sense, Israel and the United States. How much can they get away with, right?
So, Jordana, and I guess it's impossible, of course, to forecast, but if Israeli forces go in to completely disarm Hamas, we're really back to a war. Will the so-called international forces that have come in to supervise, will they have the physical manpower to disarm Hamas, or are we kind of going to be? Are we going to be back to the drawing board?
Well, I think one of the key questions is how quickly can that international security force get into the Gaza Strip and start to really be an alternative to Hamas's thugs on the street, right? As we know, Hamas has no problem killing Israelis, right? Or Jews. But the international security force will be made up of Egyptians, right? Some Europeans, possibly some Emiratis. Will Hamas take pause at killing those forces, right? Probably. So really the sooner they get in to, on the ground, the better. But again, this takes some time. And the question is, how much will Hamas, try to recuperate in the interim? They are in a very weak position, even though they have people on the street with some arms. These are not the same highly trained soldiers, right, that were there on October 6th.
And that's my question, Jordana. When I saw this sickening video on the news yesterday or this morning, it's like immediately Israel pulls their troops and they go straight to the streets and start executing in the streets their enemies or perceived enemies or the people that helped stop them to begin with. Hamas is on the run, or at least they should be. Their clock is ticking. Time is almost up on them. And sitting here in America, I can't believe that the citizens of Gaza are still letting them do these things. Why aren't they standing up to them? But I guess it's easier said than done. What is this timeline of disarming Hamas once and for all?
Well, first of all, remember that most of the Palestinians that live in the Gaza Strip are victims of Hamas's leadership. Even if at one time they believed in Hamas's ideology pre-October 7th, and maybe they even celebrated the attack on October 7th, the consequences of this war for them have been absolutely devastating, right? I mean, so much of Gaza has been severely damaged and destroyed. Infrastructure, schools, hospitals, and homes, right? I mean, southern Gaza has been really reduced to rubble. Gaza City still is standing because the Israelis didn't ultimately go in there, right? They were moving in before the Trump peace plan took hold. But parts of northern Gaza are destroyed as well. And they've moved, a half a dozen or a dozen times through this war, and they've been the collateral damage of a war that they never wanted, and that Hamas really thrust on them. So they're victims on some level, or in great part, they're victims, and they, it's difficult to understand, but they're not. I don't believe they're really in a position to stand up against Hamas or fight, or we saw pockets of demonstrations, but I don't think they're in a position to do that because they've only ever known the rule of Hamas for the last 20 years.
And Hamas is armed, and they're not.
Yeah, they're not. Exactly. They're not. And I mean, I think that's part of what Hamas is trying to do with this kind of psychological terror, right? Of putting people out there on the streets that they call collaborators and shooting them for everyone to see, right? And certainly there were bad players in Gaza besides Hamas, but obviously this is not the we're in the West. Obviously, we're used to law and order and courts, and none of that exists there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we talked yesterday about just hoping that the peace remains, and so fingers crossed that we can get back to that. Jordana Miller, ABC News correspondent in Jerusalem, thank you so much, and stay safe.
Thank you. Talk soon. Bye.
Are you or a family member needing to sell your home? Then call me, Mike Robinson with Robank Properties. I will buy your home in any condition and always as is. Call me at 314-283-0867. That's 314-283-0867. No contingencies, no inspections, just cold hard cash. I'll save you time and money. So make that call now and let me buy your house. RobankProperties.com. That's ROBANG Properties.com.
How do you separate estate planning from elder law? You don't, because they're so intertwined. Let's face it, we're all getting older, and you need to make these decisions today, whether it's for your parents, for yourself, or for future generations. Rudy Beck, Jay Lennox, and Caroline Stolzer have been navigating these important decisions for more than 50 years. Beck, Lennox, Stolzer, Estate Planning, and Elder Law. Call them, 636-946-7899 or BeckElderLaw.com. You can thank me later.
Your biggest choice in home restoration is who do you trust with your home, your most valued asset. Few can match Banner Construction's experience and dedication to excellence. Banner is an elite preferred James Hardie contractor and Pella window specialist. Restoration is a one-time opportunity to have Banner's design team show you architectural options to make your home the neighborhood showcase. Call for a free consultation. 314-569-1050. And have a banner day.
Jewels on Hampton pay some of the highest prices on gold, silver, diamonds, gemstones, coins, collectibles, and sports memorabilia. JewelsOnHampton.com.
Mizzou football.
It's a rushing touchdown, and Missouri extends the lead.
KTRS AM, FM 1061, K291CW St. Louis.
From ABC News, I'm Michelle Franzen. The government shutdown grinding into a third week. Democrats and Republicans dug in along party lines. Here's ABC's Chuck Severson.
House Speaker Mike Johnson was asked if Republicans could put to a vote another clean continuing resolution with no add-ons.
We would just be going through an exercise in political futility to pass another CR.
Democrats and their House Leader Hakeem Jeffries insisting on protecting Affordable Care Act tax credits and restoring Medicaid cuts.
It's time to prevent tens of millions of Americans from experiencing dramatically increased health care premiums.
House Republicans have been away on vacation for 3 weeks.
A federal judge today blocking the firings of federal workers during the government shutdown, saying it appears the cuts are politically motivated. President Trump at the White House signaling the U.S. appears to be in a trade war with China, saying the U.S. may embargo cooking oil due to China's decision not to buy soybeans from American farmers. The president doubling down that tariffs are working.
If we didn't have tariffs, we would be exposed as being a nothing. We would have no defense.
Economists say consumers and businesses end up paying the costs of tariffs. Israel accusing Hamas of violating the ceasefire deal by not returning the remains of all 28 dead hostages. Israel has shut off the Rafah crossing today, restricting aid into Gaza. A federal judge in Oregon is extending her order another 2 weeks that prevents National Guard troops from any state to deploy to Oregon.
In a remote court hearing, the Oregon federal judge ruled she is extending through the end of October her temporary restraining order preventing National Guard troops from being deployed in Portland. Her ruling preventing Oregon National Guard troops was appealed by the Trump administration and was put on hold by the 9th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals, but the Trump administration has not appealed a bigger order preventing troops from any state from deploying to Portland.
ABC's Alex Stone. Stocks today on Wall Street ending in mixed territory. You're listening to ABC News.
I'm still going for it, even with higher stroke risk from atrial fibrillation, an irregular heartbeat not caused by a heart valve problem. Over a 3-year study, Eliquis apixaban tablets reduce stroke risk better than warfarin, and over 97% of Eliquis patients did not experience a stroke. A first stroke occurred in 2.9% of warfarin patients versus 2.3% of Eliquis patients.
Don't stop prescription Eliquis without asking your doctor. Stroke risk may increase. Eliquis can cause serious and potentially fatal bleeding. Don't take if you have an artificial heart valve, abnormal bleeding, or antiphospholipid syndrome. While taking, you may bruise more easily or bleed longer. A spinal injection increases blood clot risk, which may cause paralysis. Get medical help right away for unexpected bleeding or bruising, or back pain, tingling, numbness, muscle weakness, or incontinence. Aspirin products, NSAIDs, SSRIs, SNRIs, and blood thinners increase bleeding risk. Tell your doctor about planned medical or dental procedures. Learn more at Eliquis.com or call 1-855-ELIQUIS.
This is KTRS News. I'm Sobe Bay. A St. Louis man is charged with fatally shooting his girlfriend after she entered a rideshare vehicle. Police say 31-year-old Jeremy Northcross circled the Lyft vehicle on a bicycle and fired multiple shots, striking his girlfriend yesterday morning in the 6100 block of North Broadway at Clarence. The Lyft driver was not injured and heroically sped to a hospital in an effort to save the 29-year-old woman. She was later pronounced dead. Northcross was arrested at the scene and is charged with first-degree murder and armed criminal action. U.S. Senator Josh Hawley of Missouri is demanding answers from Ameren for their rate hikes that may fund questionable projects. The story from KTRS's Jill Enders.
U.S. Senator Josh Hawley sent a letter to Ameren Corporation President and CEO Martin Lyons calling out Ameren for reportedly pursuing expensive corporate projects while thousands of Missourians experience rate hikes and power shutoffs. The letter reads in part, quote, "Families across Missouri are struggling to pay their bills, but I am concerned Ameren is seeking dramatic rate increases in order to supply massive data centers and industrial users. Recent reporting indicates that Ameren cut electricity to thousands of Missouri households in September while simultaneously pursuing lucrative arrangements with corporate users, end quote. Now, Hawley also said in the letter that he expected a response from Ameren by October 29th. Jill Enders, KTRS News.
St. Charles Mayor Dan Borgmeyer and St. Charles County Executive Steve Ellman are signing an agreement today to transfer the current City Hall building to the county in exchange for millions of dollars of road work paid for by the county to help two major projects in the city. The agreement, now approved by both councils, says St. Charles County will give St. Charles City more than $4 million for the reestablishment of the north end of Main Street from Clark to Montgomery Street, passing through the new city center complex. The site will be the new home of St. Charles City Hall by the end of 2026. The county will also give the city $7 million for public streets through the River Point District, a proposed mixed-use development along the Missouri River between the Family Arena and the streets of St. Charles. A national news segment recently spotlighted Missouri's proactive approach to reducing distracted driving in a story that aired last weekend. More from KTRS's Steve Potter.
On Sunday's Eye on America report, CBS News focused on the dangers of distracted drivers and highlighted what's being done here to address the issue. Research shows that when drivers are texting while driving, they're 23 times more likely to be in a critical incident. Beginning this year, drivers here in the Show Me State can now be fined for holding or supporting a cell phone or an electronic communication device while driving. The segment included an interview with John Nelson, State Highway Safety and Traffic Engineer at the Missouri Department of Transportation.
Our crash reports would tell you that somewhere around 10 to 15% of our fatal crashes involve a distracted driver. When you look at the telematics data, it indicates that it's probably closer to 1 in 3.
Meanwhile, MoDOT continues its Buckle Up, Phone Down campaign. To date, more than 56,000 Missourians and 750 businesses have pledged to drive distraction-free. MoDOT will also observe Buckle Up, Phone Down Day, October 29th. Steve Potter, KTRS News.
This KTRS Business Minute is brought to you by Walter Hill Florist, the place for all your floral needs. Place your order anytime at WKF.com. A popular St. Louis area Mexican restaurant is looking to sell its building in Rock Hill, but will remain open as it searches for a new home. Hacienda Mexican Restaurant announced via social media this week that its owners have listed the property for sale, citing the lasting effects of COVID, extended road work, and rising operating costs. And this look at the markets is brought to you by JBL Financial. Tune in to Straight Talk on Retirement, Saturday mornings from 9 to 11 a.m. On Wall Street at the close today, Dow Jones up 62 points to finish at 46,332. S&P 500 up 20 points to 6,664. And NASDAQ up 120 points to 22,642. Now let's check sports and traffic with Captain Paul Kopsky.
Sobe, the Blues are back home tonight as they welcome the Blackhawks to the Enterprise Center. Chicago is coming off their first win of the season Monday night over Utah. And four-star basketball prospect Tristan Reed has listed Mizzou as one of Final Five finalist schools. The 6'9" center is also considering Michigan State, Ohio State, Mississippi State, and Maryland. I'm Paul Kopsky from the Royal Banks of Missouri Sports Desk, and now on to traffic. Southbound Lee May Ferry is closed past Revis Barracks due to an accident. An accident on southbound 270 past Page has been moved off to the shoulder with traffic slow back to Dorset. Eastbound 64 is congested from Illinois 157 to 159. Westbound 64 bogs down in front of Forest Park. And southbound 55 is running slow from Gasconade to South Broadway. From the KTRS Traffic Center, I'm Captain Paul Kopsky on the Big 550 KTRS.
Thank you, Captain Paul. KTRS weather tonight, clear skies, light wind, overnight low of 62. Tomorrow, mostly sunny, high of 84. Right now, we have 83 degrees. The time is 4:09. I'm Sobe Bay, KTRS News, the talk of St. Louis.
It's time for the popular Blust Jewelers annual Ladies Party, supporting breast cancer awareness, October 23rd through the 25th at the Blust Jewelers on Manchester Road in De Pere. Up to 50% off regular prices on select items. Wear pink and get an additional 10% off. Enter a drawing to win one of several gift certificates, and a portion of the sales will help breast cancer survivors. Enjoy refreshments, get a free gift with purchase, and most importantly, help support breast cancer awareness. Details at blustjewelers.com.
The fall leaves are starting to change colors, and soon enough they'll be dropping. Do you have old or damaged trees that need to come down too? Let the qualified arborists at Raise Tree Service do the work for you. Raise Tree Service has over 30 years of experience servicing the St. Louis area. Give them a call today at 314-821-2665 for a free estimate with one of their professionals. That's 314-821-2665 or online at raisetreeservice.com.
You're still glowing, flirting, grooving. You've still got it. But your immune system weakens as you age, making it harder to fight flu, pneumococcal pneumonia, RSV, and COVID-19. Vaccines are a key part of any health routine and help strengthen your immune response. Ask your doctor or pharmacist which vaccines you need. Schedule in minutes at vaxassist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Let's talk about a getaway where you're not spending all the time on the road. How about Innsbruck? Think about it. You could go from your desk to a canoe and do some fishing in about 25, 30 minutes. They've got A-frames, they got tree houses, or if you're looking for a place to live that's away from hustle and bustle. Custom homes and condos as well. It is absolutely gorgeous. Have you been out? Have you looked? Go to Innsbruck-resort.com to find your getaway.
You're listening to the Heidi Glaus Show with Josh Gilbert and Bob Ramsey on the Big 550 KTRS.
Our headlines for this Wednesday afternoon, October 15th. Restaurant opens in former Vindiset building after $1 million renovation. I'm really excited. It opens tonight. We might check it out. On Point Hospitality Group, the team behind Yellow Belly and Lazy Tiger in the Central West End, will open its latest restaurant concept in the space formerly occupied by PW Pizza. It's the same building that housed Vindiset before a fire closed both restaurants. Extra Wavy will offer a raw bar concept as well as a full dinner menu and a bar program with a focus on martinis, cocktails, and wines. Extra Wavy is a smash-up of East Coast raw bar inspiration with some European coast influence as well as London and Australian influence. That's according to Tim Wiggins, co-owner of On Point Hospitality Group. He said it's old meets new, some traditional items and some East Coast vibes as the seafood goes. The restaurant will feature a raw bar with 5 items as well as pastas made in-house. It will also feature some vegetable-driven plates and 4 skewers serving as a side or a bar snack. Drinks will include a menu of 8 cocktails, a martini menu, and the wine is taking a large portion of the drinks. The hospitality group has been working on the space for nearly a year. Extra Wavy, which is on Shoto Avenue, will be open Tuesday through Saturday from 5 to 10 p.m., and it all kicks off today.
That's great. I'm glad your neighborhood gets all these great neighborhoods. How come? What do you got for me in Ditmer or Cedar Hill? I need a little something.
I'll keep looking.
Okay,
I'll keep looking. Maybe you can talk to Darren. He can get a burger joint there.
There we go. We can always go to Pacific and go to Rich's Famous.
That's right.
I only bring this up. It's kind of weird, kind of unpleasant story. I don't like to do those generally.
Yeah.
But we talk about Disney a lot.
Yes, I saw this story.
Positives and negatives, Josh. Disney guest dies of suicide after false claims this person was hit by a monorail. Well, you and I know in the Magic Kingdom, in Orlando, where the Contemporary Resort is, and the monorail goes right through
through the building.
Did you ever stay there?
No, my sister has.
Yeah, I never.
Is it cool or is it scary?
No, it's
cool.
It's
okay.
Kind of what we would have thought of as modern in 1970.
Yeah. Okay.
It looks very futuristic.
For 1970.
But you walk down to your hotel lobby, you jump on the monorail.
It's in the hotel lobby.
Oh, that's
it's
cool.
Pretty cool.
Yeah.
So anyway, and it's really walking distance from the Magic Kingdom anyway. But what's interesting is the body was found at the hotel near the Magic Kingdom, and I've told folks before, if you're not a regular listener, Disney's kind of got their own thing with bodies. Mm-hmm. But in this case, Orange County Sheriff tried to clarify that the victim was not struck by a monorail. When asked about footage that showed a white tent being set up on a balcony of the hotel and reports that a body was found on the tracks, The sheriff declined to comment, claiming that we don't release information in a case of a suicide. But the cause of death was multiple blunt injuries.
So did they jump and then get hit by it?
Or were they hit and pushed?
Here we go.
This is a mystery, and my guess is we will never find out.
Oh, because the way that they keep mum on it.
They shut it down.
Here's the Dateline. A magical murder.
Oh, you can write the story.
Yeah.
And voice it.
Okay, Heidi.
Yes.
The Economist has put out the Carrie Bradshaw Index.
Okay.
This is how affordable a city is for a single person to live in that particular city.
Okay.
Now, they say, they base it off of Carrie Bradshaw. Of course, she lived in a wonderful apartment in New York City. And
had her
was like,
Cosmopolitans and all of her fancy shoes.
For a journalist's salary, can
Yeah.
you really afford Manolo Blahniks?
You would actually be sharing an apartment
with 4 other people.
Exactly.
All the girls would
and
be
it
in
wouldn't
there.
even be that big.
I don't know. They paid well in the 90s, right? No? So the Economist says that you could spend no more than 30% of your gross income on rent. These are the cities that we have found to be affordable and not affordable. So, like, as far as New Yorkers, you would need to earn $151,000 to afford a $4,000 a month apartment.
I think that's still pushing it.
$150,000 for a studio.
That's tight.
It's going to be tight. Yep.
$4,000 for a studio apartment. However, in Las Vegas, $1,000 to get you a studio apartment. You only have to earn $40,000.
You can't get a studio apartment here.
This is what they're saying.
I don't believe any of this.
The Economist has said the South has gotten a lot more expensive, with cities in Texas like Houston, Dallas, and Austin being too expensive for single people to live in. Memphis, Tennessee saw the largest drop in affordability of all places because of rising demand, limited and new housing, and people's paychecks aren't going up. So the rents are going higher, paychecks aren't meeting it. However, cities that have become more affordable, Tallahassee, Florida, Phoenix, Arizona,
That's hard to believe.
and Aurora, Colorado have become significantly more affordable for solo renters compared
Well,
to
the
last year.
Trendeagua rents are a lot lower.
Well, now that they're all cleared out, Bob,
okay.
we can
Maybe
move
that's
in.
why.
Wichita, Kansas is the most affordable city for the second consecutive year for single people to live in. So,
And if you move there, you'll stay single.
Oh,
maybe it could be like one giant nightclub.
well
right?
played. Well played. Hey, coming up, we're going to chat with Lauren Risley. You know, AI is kind of everywhere, even when it comes to looking at houses. We'll tell you the do's and don'ts with Lauren after this.
Recently, a good friend of mine was changing the light fixture in their kitchen, and they took the light fixture off the ceiling, and they looked inside the ceiling and said, "What is the phone number to Michael Baldy?" If they would have listened to me, they would have put Michael Baldy's phone number in their phone, because everybody needs a good electrician on speed dial. So here you go. The next time you need an electrician, you need to remember Michael Baldy and Baldy Electric. So the phone number, 314-968-9999. Indoor, outdoor, an old Victorian home, knob and tube wiring, and anything and everything in between. You see, Michael Baldy is a licensed electrician, and he has a team ready to go. Whether it's something for the ceiling in the kitchen, something for the lights for the holidays, whatever it may be, Michael Baldy and Baldy Electric. BaldyElectric.com, 314-968-9999, because everybody needs a good electrician on speed dial. BaldyElectric.com.
John Beal Roofing has been proudly serving homeowners and businesses in the St. Louis metro area on both sides of the river in Missouri and Illinois for over 3 generations. A dependable roof begins with a team you can count on, and that's exactly what you get with John Beal Roofing. Recognized as one of Roofing Contractor Magazine's top 100 roofing companies, John Beal Roofing offers 24/7 emergency service and industry-leading warranties, including a lifetime workmanship warranty for total peace of mind. From upgrading an aging roof or completing a full replacement, the team at John Beal Roofing delivers solutions that are built to code, built to last, and handled with expert care. John Beal also responds quickly with reliable storm damage services backed by decades of experience and 24/7 emergency support. Get started today for expert service and a free, no obligation estimate by calling 1-800-NEW-ROOF. That's 1-800-NEW-ROOF.
I'm Farmer Dave, and here's my good friend and owner of MasterCars Inc., Alex Rosenberger, with today's hot MasterCars Inc. deals.
Hey, thanks, Farmer Dave. This is our favorite motoring season. Great top-down weather or getting the bike out. The temps are perfect. Of course, we can fix you up with one if you're in need. Attractive financing options available with no payments until 2026. Keep that in mind. Now, if you have one and don't need it, we can help there too. We're always looking for super clean, low-mile, pristine Corvettes, muscle cars, classic cars, luxury cars, you name it. Motorcycles too, especially Ducatis and Harleys. We'll even buy entire collections. Hop on our site, submit what you've got, and we'll get you an offer. Easy as that.
So rev that motor and point your car in the direction of MasterCars Inc. and buy or sell today. 4100 Namioki Road in Granite City, or visit MasterCarsInc.com to get more details. That's MasterCarsInc.com.
When you pay for tree work, you want to be sure you're getting the most for your hard-earned money. That's why you should always use the ISA certified arborist at River City Tree Service in Baldwin, Missouri. Hi, I'm Steve with River City Tree Service, and we've been the go-to tree service since 2008. Tree removal, tree trimming, storm damage, deadwood removal, stump grinding, and more. Give River City Tree Service a call for all your tree service needs at 314-270-8071. That's 314-270-8071. River City Tree Service.
Is it time to make a change with your bank? Hi, it's Julie Buck for Triad Bank. They are a full-service financial institution with 2 locations, and they've been around since 2005 with the mission to provide a wide range of commercial and personal banking services. Here's their website. It's triadbanking.com.
Gilmish & Sons have been providing quality heating and cooling services since 1950. They work exclusively with Lennox, the preferred choice of St. Louis homeowners. Call Gilmish & Sons for your next Lennox HVAC installation and service. 314-993-1110.
You're listening to the Heidi Glaus Show with Josh Gilbert and Bob Ramsey on the Big 550 KTRS.
Our house in the middle of our street. Our house in the middle of our house.
Artificial intelligence is being used everywhere. Sometimes it's helpful, other times hurtful. Lauren Risley, founder of Lauren Risley Realty, is back to talk about the way it's being used to sell houses. This is so interesting.
Very interesting. To be honest, Chat GPT is something that I use often now. But if you ask Adam, I threw a pretty big fit about it about a year ago and said that I refused to use it, consider it, acknowledge it. And now it is exactly that it's a great tool.
Well, Lauren, I'm supposed to be the cranky old person here. It sounds like maybe you took that role for a while.
Okay, listen, I'm not a big tech person. I don't like change. Listen, when I moved to the city about 12 years ago, okay, my other house was in Maryland Heights. I drove to the Schnucks and Walgreens on Dorset Road from the city for a year.
Are you kidding?
No, I know where everything's at. I even know the produce guy.
That is a new level.
And do you take time off in the afternoon to watch your shows?
Well, one of my friends, one day I was like, I'm running to the grocery store, and she's like, oh, I'll go with you. And I was like, oh, I don't think so. And then she's like, where are we going? And I'm like, well, and she's like, there's a Schnucks on the hill, right? And I'm like, okay, look. Jeff doesn't work in the produce there, okay? He helps me with my produce. So
you know your people. Okay,
so I just was reluctant because it's just new and different and scary, you know?
Well, I read one article saying AI can help narrow down the search for homes. Is that what you find?
Yeah, so the key word through this whole little conversation we'll have is tool, right? It's a tool. we've talked about Zillow before. Last week we talked about Zillow versus reality. And we said, look, it's a good tool.
Right.
And so the more tools that come out, the more equipped people are going to be to make the best financial decision for themselves and their family. So I welcome any tool that comes out, right?
Exactly.
It's when people lean on that to replace expertise, experience, and to be honest, in the real estate world, emotion.
That makes sense.
It does get emotional, doesn't it? Because of the stress.
Yeah, I mean, so for example, you can set up AI to say, hey, I mean, it is wild what you can have it look for. Like you can say, hey, yes, I'm looking for 3 beds, 2 baths, these 3 zip codes, no more than 350,000. You can go so far as to say, I only want white cabinets, must have a fenced yard. And, there'll be some errors in there, but it will help you pull that out. But it won't show you a giant water tower or power lines or a busy road. It's not going to show you those types of things. And it's certainly not going to, explain things that are really important to you. So like when we sit down in a buyer's consultation, they're like, look, we have 3 kids, 2 dogs. You open the door and something's running out the front door fast, right? We don't want to be on a busy road. Well, that's not something that AI is going to account for.
Right.
It doesn't know how to differentiate. Like a busy road to me could be different than you, right? People might think Grand Avenue is busy, and then other people might think something, as slow as Russell is busy. So, it's really a matter of opinion. So that's something it's not going to be able to pick out for you.
Yeah. But as you were kind of pointing out, buyers can get answers instantly about maybe pricing or neighborhoods or things like that.
Yeah. So there's a couple things, but the 2 big things I love about AI is one, we aren't as real estate agents allowed to talk about safety. So, just like a busy road, safety is a matter of opinion. So where I feel safe might be different than where Josh or Bob feel safe.
Got it.
Heidi, we live in the city, so we play a fun game at night called Gunshots or Fireworks,
We do indeed.
Very, very much like that in Jefferson County, too.
Yeah.
Right. Well, but when my friends from the county come here, they don't think that's a fun game. They don't understand that. So they're like, are we safe in your house? I'm like, I think so, And so we can't talk about safety because it's called steering. We're steering people in and out of certain neighborhoods. So AI is really good for that, especially now. Before you had Megan's Law, which is sex offenders. And then we would recommend that you call the non-emergency line and ask them to send you a printout of the last 30 days or 90 days of crimes. Or you'd have to go up there and get them. Well, now with AI,
You
a
can
lot of
see
that's
it.
readily available. It's right there.
That is so interesting. Are there other things that you cannot steer people to or from?
Yeah, I mean, it's anything like race, religion, gender, sexuality, like really anything that's discriminatory in the slightest, you cannot steer, you can't acknowledge. There was a very honest mistake by an agent, not on our team, but that got fined, and they used it as an example. But, in University City, the synagogue's there. And for a lot of the people that go there, they can't drive on Sabbath.
Right.
So they walk. And so they marketed the house as like Jewish friendly and you can walk to synagogue. But even that is not
a flag.
You can't do it. And they were just making a point that, hey, this is a very sought out neighborhood for that reason. And that's fine, but you leave it to the people that are seeking out that neighborhood to know that info.
That is so interesting. All right, back to AI for a second. What should we be aware of?
Yeah, so, a couple things AI is not going to replace. We talked about emotion, right? So, let me go back. One thing I like about it, since it's advanced, is not only do you have a mortgage calculator, which we've always had, and it will tell you your taxes, interest, estimated homeowners insurance, and it'll give you your monthly payment. And if anyone is interested, I think Realtor.com mortgage calculator does it the best. I think it has the best user-friendly interface. But now you can find AI that you can say, hey, I'm pre-approved for $350,000. I have $60,000 in my savings account. I'm putting 5% down. I'm going to need to account for inspections. I'm going to need to account for closing costs. And, I'm going to be buying furniture after. I assume I'm going to spend like $10,000, but I still want to have $6,000 as a safety net. Well, I'm already lost. I'm like, I don't know how much you need, right? AI will spit out exactly what they should spend and how much they should allocate in each category. So it does really, really, really add additional layer of due diligence for people who do want more information before making a decision. But like for us, we sit down with buyers and say, hey, yes, you're pre-approved for $350,000, but what can you afford, right? Like you said your kids are going to college in a year. Do they have a scholarship? Are you paying for that? Oh, you are? Okay, well then your budget is going to be different 18 months from now than it is now. Oh my gosh, I didn't realize that. Well, let's back off of your pre-approval amount and let's look a little bit lower.
Yeah.
And then when we get into a multiple offer situation and they say, we're at 350 and they go, you know what, let's do it. Let's ramp it up. Let's go 375. We get to be that voice of reason and say, hey, we sat down about a month and a half ago, had a very emotional heart conversation, and we talked about a hard stop at 350, and AI is just not going to do that. It doesn't have that emotion. It doesn't read when someone's being overzealous or, excited or something like that.
Yeah. So it really, as you pointed out in the beginning, it is a great tool for not only buyers and sellers, but for you guys, the team.
Well, and so when I stomped my feet and said, no, I'm not doing it, someone, it was probably a year and a half, 2 years ago, and I think Jamie on the team said, hey, do you guys know about Chat GPT? And I was like, what? And so I think I called it, what do we call them? Oh, no, it doesn't matter. The robot. We called them something different for a very long, RTD2. So I put into ChatGPT, I have never sold a house before. I have a listing appointment, and I would love to get this listing. What are some questions the seller might ask me, and what are the answers to that questions? What are 3 questions I can ask the seller so that I look like I know what I'm doing and like I've done this before? And it gave me an entire script.
Yeah.
Oh.
And I was so mad.
Because it was so good.
It was so good. And I worked for me 12 years. I worked so hard to be the best at my job. And you're telling me I can type this into a computer? And it does this. But then I've realized it might tell you what to do, but it doesn't show you what to do. So saying something to a seller and doing something for a seller are 2 totally different things.
Yeah.
And to be honest, that's why there's more due diligence on our sellers and buyers to ask more questions of your agent. Like on the opposite side, AI can really make people look like experts when they're not. You need to do your due diligence and make sure you're hiring the right person. Because
that's a great point.
When those hard times come up, you want to make sure they didn't, spit out some AI generated answers to you, and their answers are based on real life experience.
Yeah, great kind of intelligent information as far as buying and selling goes when using AI. And as always, a lot of what we talk about here on our show, Lauren and Adam talk about in depth on Call the Closer with Lauren Risley Realty. You can hear it here on the Big 550 KTRS Sundays at 1. And if you're in the market to buy or sell a home, or if you just have a question, because knowledge is power. Call Lauren Risley Realty 314-775-0684 or email her at hello@laurenrisleyrealty.com. Thanks, Lauren. We'll chat next week.
I'll see you guys next week.
In the middle of our house, in the middle of our streets.
Meep, meep. It is 4:34. Captain Paul, the roads still look pretty good?
Heidi, we have a problem in South County. Southbound Lee Ferry is closed past Rivas Barracks due to an accident. Elsewhere, emergency vehicles are on northbound 170 before 70. Southbound 270 is heavy from Page down to Manchester. Eastbound 64 is congested from a mile east of Illinois 157 to 159 with speeds less than 20 miles per hour. Westbound 64 bogs down in front of Forest Park and from Lake St. Louis Boulevard to the 6470 interchange. And southbound 55 is running slow from Gasconade to 4500 South Broadway. This traffic report is brought to you by Neighbors Credit Union. Check out the Neighbors Credit Union Debit All Day account, a checklist checking account featuring a Neighbors Visa debit card, the convenience of online and mobile banking, and access to your direct deposits up to 2 days early. Online at neighborscu.org. Federally insured by NCUA. Membership eligibility required. From the KTRS Traffic Center, I'm Captain Paul Kopsky on the Big 550 KTRS.
And now, KTRS weather.
I'm First Alert 4 Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton. Another mild morning and warm fall afternoon on the way for Thursday. Low of 61, a high of 82, sunny skies. We do that again on Friday, a little more cloud cover, partly cloudy and a high of 83. Falls into the mild 70s, though, for your evening activities Friday, and it will be dry for Friday Night Football. Saturday, though, a needed chance of rain, but we do have a chance for some storms. Could be a couple strong storms in the afternoon to early evening Saturday. That's the latest from the First Alert 4 Weather Center. I'm Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton for the Big 550 KTRS.
Don't miss Straight Talk on Retirement with Jeff and Aaron Lapidus every Saturday morning from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Join this dynamic father-daughter duo every Saturday morning for an entertaining and intimate understanding of the retirement needs you may soon be facing. From decades of financial planning expertise combined with a deep knowledge of healthcare benefits, Aaron and Jeff will give you the Straight Talk on Retirement every Saturday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. right here on the Big 550 KTRS.
The Missouri Laborers Union and their contractors invest in people, making them extraordinary. How? Through training, creating careers, providing good wages, having superior health insurance, and a strong retirement. These are just a few of the many ways they invest in their members. The Missouri Laborers Union and their contractors understand the importance of having a strong workforce, and it starts with investing in people. Go to buildunion.com for more information.
Recently, a good friend of mine was changing the light fixture in their kitchen, and they took the light fixture off the ceiling, and they looked inside the ceiling and said, what is the phone number to Michael Baldy? If they would have listened to me, they would have put Michael Baldy's phone number in their phone, because everybody needs a good electrician on speed dial. So here you go. The next time you need an electrician, you need to remember Michael Baldy and Baldy Electric. So the phone number, 314-968-9999. Indoor, outdoor, an old Victorian home, knob and tube wiring, and anything and everything in between. You see, Michael Baldy is a licensed electrician, and he has a team ready to go. Whether it's something for the ceiling in the kitchen, something for the lights for the holidays, whatever it may be, Michael Baldy and Baldy Electric. BaldyElectric.com, 314-968-9999, because everybody needs a good electrician on speed dial. BaldyElectric.com.
Hi, St. Louis. This is Ben with Timberline Professional Tree Care. You've heard me for years warning of the devastating effects of emerald ash borer. Well, the time has finally come that this pest has damaged or killed almost every untreated ash tree in the region. For some trees, it might be too late. But if you only have minor damage to your tree, please call Timberline Professional Tree Care as quickly as possible and get on our treatment schedule. Further, if you've been using a box store remedy or if another local provider has been treating your ash tree, give us a call. We bet we can save you a lot of money on your treatment program. Timberline has 7 ISA certified arborists and 5 licensed applicators to diagnose, treat, and save your trees from this and other harmful pests. To save your trees, just like we've saved thousands of other trees in the area, visit our new website at stltreecare.com or call 636-479-7475 anytime.
You might know Graybar for cable and connectivity,
But there's one more thing you should know us for that can help optimize your project's total value, like our comprehensive electronic solutions for security, AV, wireless, and networking, or our specialized job site services, like material staging and kitting, or maybe our logistics specialist, who can help you identify efficiencies and ensure just-in-time delivery. So consider what one more thing you may need to optimize your bottom line and get to know us for that. Yep, Gray Bar does that.
Stop feeling embarrassed about thinning hair and start looking and feeling your best with Hair Grow by New Nordic. Available online at Amazon, Walmart.com, and NewNordicUSA.com, or at your local CVS.
You're listening to the Heidi Glaus Show with Josh Gilbert and Bob Ramsey on the Big 550 KTRS.
Connie Bobo ran an early childhood center for almost 10 years through her nonprofit, but was it all a scam? Jacob Barker is a reporter with the St. Louis Post-Dispatch. He's been covering the story from the beginning and joins us with what he's learned. This is a strange story, Jacob.
Indeed. Thanks for having me. Yeah, I started looking into this back in 2022. I started looking at there was lots of nonprofits in Missouri that had been filing huge claims under this federal program that paid for meals that were supposed to be distributed to children, and they loosened the rules during COVID, so you could basically just, say you were handing out meals at what they called drive-through events, and it was really hard to keep records, and some of these organizations were submitting millions of dollars a month in claims that the state and the USDA were reimbursing, and one of the largest was Connie Bobo's nonprofit New Heights Community Resource Center.
So I know the indictment in October of 2023 accuses her of never even purchasing or supplying these meals.
Well, she does contest that, I think she probably did deliver some meals. The question is, how many did she actually deliver and how much cash did she pocket? The feds say that she actually, she billed the state, according to the records I got, like $20 million.
Whoa.
Over a couple of years. But the feds say she, netted $11 million that she was not entitled to receive.
Oh, my gosh.
And the thing that also caught my attention in this same indictment, it claims that she used like $4.3 million to purchase a nearly $1 million home for herself, other homes for relatives, and even to make a $2.2 million commercial real estate investment.
Yeah, the old Circuit City, I believe it was, in Bridgeton. She bought, several houses, including her own personal residence. That was one of the main things I noticed at first. $1 million house in St. Charles. She claimed it was also her nonprofit's office, though.
So she went to court this week. We'll find out what happened there, but let's go back to what she was doing. She was supposed to be packing up meals for kids who couldn't eat because their schools were closed during COVID. And it's alleged that, a meal that she was supposed to be spending X amount of dollars on, she was just throwing cheese and crackers in a box and shipping it off, if even that. So what exactly was it that she was doing?
Well, from what I came in kind of after the fact, after the state actually had grown suspicious of some of these organizations. And to be clear, Connie Bobo and New Heights, they were not the only ones. There's actually another nonprofit that's been indicted over this. The state grew suspicious, and they put the kibosh on some of these loosened rules that, allowed these drive-through events with kind of lax record keeping, where people were just handing out meals and claiming reimbursements. So after that, it kind of had stopped. But it did seem, according to pictures that she had on Facebook, that some meals were being delivered. But the big question is, how many actually got delivered and how much money did she keep?
We're talking
and the feds found she kept a lot.
Yeah, Jacob Barker, who's a reporter with the St. Louis Post-Dispatch. And I'm wondering, was she just a product of COVID and saw this opportunity, or was she a bad seed prior to that?
It's hard. She ran a daycare center for a while, and from what I looked at, I don't think there were any major complaints or problems with that. And I think there were several churches and nonprofit organizations that saw this program and the loosened rules and billed lots of money. If you recall, I actually started looking into it in Minneapolis. There was a huge case over this same program, like $200 million. A bunch of people got indicted, and the feds at the time actually said it was the largest pandemic program fraud at the time. So this was going on
everywhere.
I need to ask your opinion on this. You're a reporter, but what comes to my mind, and again, I don't want to conflate stories, but did the amateurs who tried to bilk the government out of COVID money, have they kind of ended up exposing the things that that the Doge people are exposing in the government? Can we tie some of this together, and maybe this was like the opening the door for all of this fraud and abuse to be looked at everywhere?
Well, these particular programs actually that the USDA pays for, I mean, they have noble goals. They're supposed to be used to deliver food to kids in the summertime, when they're out of school, and some kids who, rely on meals at school. And actually, the federal government, like Inspector General reports and GAO reports, have been flagging this program for years before this, saying, hey, some of these rules are a little loose. It seems kind of easy to cheat. There's got to be ways to tighten this up. And, and then COVID was a perfect storm because the rules were loosened even more.
Gotcha. Yeah.
And then were the feds tipped off because of the amount of the dollars going to one program? And then when they started looking at it, that's when they found the house and the properties and the Mercedes G-Wagon? Or did they see the G-Wagon drive by and they, you know what, we better look into this?
I don't know exactly what tipped the feds off. It could have been state regulators that were flagging some of these. They had flagged Miss Bobo's organization specifically, and then we wrote a story about it. And, a few months later, subpoenas went out.
So found guilty of everything they're charging her with, what could happen to her?
Well, this is an interesting one. I wasn't in the courtroom earlier this month, but she had a guilty plea all lined up, which is pretty typical in these federal white collar crimes. They'll come to a deal and plea to a couple of years, but at the last minute, my colleague Katie Cole was there. She changed her mind and went back on the deal. So she's going to go to trial next week.
Wow.
By all accounts, and each of the wire fraud, I don't know. Federal sentencing guidelines are beyond me. They're very complicated, but she's facing potentially, several too many years in prison.
Wow.
And at the moment, she's just resting comfortably in that $1 million house in St. Charles?
No, she's actually been in jail for a long time.
Oh.
She was indicted in 2023, in October 2023. It's white collar. They let her out, but she violated her bond about a year later because she kept running her daycare when the judge told her you can't be in charge of any nonprofits because of your indictment.
Ouch.
And then she got arrested by the FBI, had to go to that house in St. Charles, and she's been in jail, since last summer for violating her bond.
This is a story that just gives us more and more juicy details.
Is the sister who had a house bought for her, the boyfriend who, again, I keep coming back to that Mercedes, have they been indicated or implicated, I should say, in any of this?
I don't believe there's been any criminal implication for those people. I did write about the boyfriend, I believe Howard Hughes III, who got that very $200,000 car. I guess they were a couple at one point, and he managed to get, it sounds like several $100,000, maybe over $1 million from Miss Bobo, but it's not necessarily something that the feds believe rose to the level of an indictable offense.
Well, very interesting. Jacob Barker with the St. Louis Post-Dispatch, thank you so much for joining us and sharing this incredible story.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Sunset Hill Subaru is a proud local business that has served the St. Louis metro area since 1963. Whether you're shopping new or pre-owned, their friendly, knowledgeable, and experienced team will get you into the Subaru that was built for you. And when you visit their massive showroom, you can expect the superior customer service that you deserve that's become synonymous with Sunset Hills Subaru. Located on Watson Road in Sunset Hills, they're only a stone's throw from St. Louis, Kirkwood, Arnold, and the Metro East. Browse or shop online at sunsethillsubaru.com.
Michael's Baths, operated by Michael Gower and his daughter Melody. If you want a bathroom remodel, Michael's Baths will give you a free quote. Walk-in showers that all look like natural stone, maybe some grab bars, whatever you need. All they use are American-made products, so you're not at the mercy of any tariff increases. Right now, get a free shower door or $500 off a bathroom remodel. Michael's Baths, 636-775-0800, or online at michaelsbaths.com.
Andy from Hats and Stuff. The Blues are in town this week, and it's time to gear up with some tremendous prices on jerseys, tees, ball caps, hoodies for the entire family. My retirement sale continues, and we're adding a bunch of new things to the $10 sale. $10 sale. $10 sale.
So come by and check it out.
Located at Westport Plaza, across from the Drunken Fish and the Kobe Steakhouse, or 24/7 at hatsandstuff.com and the Soulard Farmers Market on Saturdays. Hats and Stuff. Good stuff at really great prices.
Truck drivers, the holiday rush is here. Take advantage by becoming a Schneider driver. By driving for one of America's busiest carriers, you'll stay busy during the holiday season and throughout the new year. Plus, as a Schneider driver, you'll have access to top quality driver support and newer equipment spec'd with the latest safety and comfort features that drivers want. Don't wait. Get a jump on 2026 by exploring jobs in your area today at SchneiderJobs.com. That's SchneiderJobs.com.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. Ever wonder why Big Wireless wants you on an unlimited plan? They probably want you to cover the cost of those 20-somethings using all that data every month. But most people 50 and up like me only use 12 gigs or less. Don't get bamboozled by Big Wireless. Switch to Consumer Cellular. Our plans start at just $20, and we use the same towers as the big guys. Join the millions who choose something better, because if you're not using all that data, you're probably getting used.
Call 1-888-FREEDOM, visit consumercellular.com/facts or a store near you. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. See site for additional facts.
Pros don't just show up, they prove how it's done, with precision and without shortcuts. Makita tools are built the same way, with a dedication to lasting quality, trusted performance, and results that reward your effort year after year. When the job calls for the best, call on Makita. Built to be the best. Available at the Home Depot.
Kuna Food Service has been the trusted food supplier in the Midwest since 1918. For over 100 years, Kuna Food Service has been distributing the highest quality food products to some of your favorite restaurants while delivering superior customer service. When a restaurant puts their trust in Kuna Food Service, they get a team that truly cares about their success. That's why at Kuna, they like to say, they're big enough to handle it, yet small enough to care. Check them out online at kunafoodservice.com.
Most people think if I name my husband as beneficiary, everything's going to be okay, and that's not necessarily true.
I'm Scott Garcia with Premier Estate and Income Planning.
What am I doing taking care of people after somebody has passed and all the mess that comes with that?
And I'm Jennifer Cermak, Chief Counsel and Estate Planning Attorney of Premier Estate and Income Planning.
No longer is the attorney the gatekeeper to your lives.
Let us show you how to protect your assets, avoid probate, and retire with confidence.
Having an estate plan could be the most important document you could ever have.
The Premier Income and Estate Planning Show, this Saturday at 4 and this Sunday morning at 7 on the Big 550 KTRS.
You're listening to the Heidi Glaus Show with Josh Gilbert and Bob Ramsey on the Big 550 KTRS.
Meep, meep.
It's about 7 minutes before 5 o'clock. We got to check back in with Captain Paul. Has that accident been cleared up?
The accident has been cleared, Heidi, and right now we are accident-free. We just have some slow traffic. Eastbound 44 is congested from Broadway and Cass past the depressed section. Southbound 270 is heavy from north of Olive down to Manchester. Eastbound 64 is congested from a mile east of Illinois 157 to 159 with speeds less than 20 miles per hour. Westbound 64 bogs down in front of Forest Park and from Lake St. Louis Boulevard to the 60 6470 interchange, and southbound 55 is running slow from Potomac to 4500 South Broadway. From the KTRS Traffic Center, I'm Captain Paul Kopsky on the Big 550 KTRS.
Well, right now it's about 82 degrees. A new study shows that across nearly 200 cities in the United States, the first fall freeze is happening later and later. So we're not all losing our mind that fall feels warmer and longer. So this new study says that over the United States, every county has warmed since 1970 due to climate change. Not only has this led to higher energy bills, but of course, a longer allergy season. And the trend has significantly pushed back all of those first fall freeze dates, which I thought was kind of interesting from coast to coast.
You know what's weird, and it's because memory is too anecdotal generally, but I remember in the 70s, the winters several years in a row were absolutely brutal. Deep freezes, the Missouri River freezing over, things like that. And it says since 1970. I think it'd be interesting to look at that data.
Yeah, and this also says, while maybe some of us love the warmer weather, the consequences can be a bit costly because those later freezes are known to affect health, agriculture, and the environment overall.
I think it's really interesting when Mike Ward talks about how you can grow grapes now in England for wines that they never could before because of global warming.
Well, it talks about this in the many crops, including the fruits and nuts that depend on a steady stretch of chill time beginning in early fall to ensure better yields as far as that goes. And farmers rely on the predictable freeze dates for planting and then harvesting and even pest control. So it does pose a few other problems than just us sniffling because of our allergies.
And Bob, my parents lived over in Alton between 2005 and 2015, and crossing that bridge, seeing the Missouri River frozen solid.
With the big chunks of ice.
It's so weird looking.
I think it's cool looking, actually.
Even with global warming, it could still get pretty cold here.
Yeah, and the eagles come in, and it's very cool. It's just a shorter period of time is what they're saying.
Back in the days when I was young, I'm not a kid anymore. But some days I sit and wish I was a kid again.
Well, Heidi and Bob, back in the day, on this date, October 15th, 1860, an 11-year-old girl named Grace Bedell of Westfield, New York, wrote to presidential candidate Abraham Lincoln a letter and said, "You would look better if you grew a beard." And he did.
I remember this story. I think that this story is shared in Springfield at the Abraham Lincoln Museum.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And you look up pictures. I got Google images up here. Lincoln, no beard. He had a very thin, almost
narrow,
gaunt, even face. Some people even compared him to, who's the actor that played Oppenheimer? Cillian Murphy.
Back then?
It was a very thin face. Yeah. I say, you look like that fella, Cillian Murphy. He's going to be all the rage in about 150 years. Thanks for indulging me in that.
It's okay, Josh.
Did
you
we?
had to get it out.
It had to come out somewhere. Guys, come on. 1976, the first debate of its kind. Vice presidential nominees. Bob Dole versus Walter Mondale faced off in Houston. Bob Dole was Gerald Ford's running mate, and Mondale was Jimmy Carter's. How about that? They would both go on to run for president themselves.
Of course.
And they would both lose.
Things were a little more civil.
I was going to say friendly.
Yep.
In 2009, Balloon Boy.
Oh, yes. Who could forget?
The lawn chair?
Richard and Mayumi Heaney claimed their 6-year-old son was trapped in a balloon 7,000 feet above the ground. Turned out to be a complete hoax. The kid was in the garage the whole time. Do you remember the son's name?
I don't.
Biff.
Falcon.
Falcon
was the boy's name.
Wasn't there a story around that time? Kid went up in a lawn chair with balloons.
Yes, there were several different weird stories.
And used like a BB gun or a pellet gun to hit balloons to be able to come back. I don't remember.
There was something odd about that because it seemed like all these things were happening at the same time. And you're like, what is happening here?
They took that movie Up. And they were like, we're going to try that ourselves.
Yeah.
So that sounds pretty dangerous, actually.
All right. Quitting time for some folks. We've got more to get to, including an interview with Pete Williams. You remember him as a longtime journalist and former Defense Department spokesman for the George H.W. Bush administration. We're going to talk to him about the new protocol for journalists at the Pentagon and what that means for the common person. That's coming up right after this short break.
Some of my fondest memories as a kid is heading down to the hardware store. You had to pick up a couple of nails, a couple of screws, maybe a gallon of paint, whatever it may be, right? It was your friendly neighborhood hardware store. Well, those don't exist anymore in St. Louis, except for Schnarr's Hardware. They have two locations in Webster Groves and in Clayton Road in Ladue. Schnarr's Hardware is that place where you go in and you can get that bucket of paint, you can get a couple of screws. The advice is always free. And the one thing about Schnarr's Hardware that every single family hardware store used to have, and that is the smell. It smells like a hardware store. It's got the selection. I don't know how they do it. It's a small store, but they got everything you ever need. They got the paint. They got paint matching. They've got big green eggs. They've got screws and nails and everything a hardware store should have. Schnarr's Hardware, 2 locations, 1 great hardware store. Schnarr's Hardware, we'll see you there.
Is it time to make a change with your bank? Hi, it's Julie Buck for Triad Bank. They are a full-service financial institution with 2 locations, and they've been around since 2005 with a mission to provide a wide range of commercial and personal banking services. Here's their website. It's triadbanking.com.
Mizzou football.
The rushing touchdown, and Missouri extends the lead.
KTRS AM, FM 1061, K291CW St. Louis.
To end the government shutdown now in day 15. ABC's Jay O'Brien has more on the latest vote.
In large part, Senate Democrats staying unified behind Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer and saying that they are holding out for, in particular, an extension of those Obamacare tax credits that are set to expire at the end of the year, and that if they are not extended would cause premiums for millions of Americans to rise to the tune of, for some people, hundreds, if not thousands of dollars.
A federal judge today blocked the firings of federal workers during the government shutdown, finding that the cuts appeared to be politically motivated. C-SPAN announcing House Speaker Mike Johnson and House Democratic leader Hakeem Jeffries have accepted an invitation to appear on C-SPAN together. A date has not yet been set. In Oregon, a U.S. district judge extended the temporary restraining order against the Trump administration's troop deployment in Portland for an additional 2 weeks. The Justice Department appealed the first TRO prohibiting the Oregon National Guard in Portland, which the Ninth Circuit put an administrative stay on. The DOJ, though, has not appealed the ruling that bans any state's National Guard troops from going into Portland. Israel closed the Rafah crossing today, accusing Hamas of violating the ceasefire to return all 28 deceased hostages. Hamas responding, saying they will honor the deal to return all hostages. ABC's Ian Pannell says families continue to wait.
There are 2 U.S. citizens amongst the deceased hostages, and we spoke to the father of Itar Khan, Ruby Khan, and he said that waiting for his son to return is agonizing. He said he met President Trump when he was here in Israel, and Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner and Marco Rubio, and said he told them that the job is not done.
You're listening to ABC News.
Carney, Buck.
Thursday on the broadcast, remember Up All Night? It's back, and its host, Rhonda Shear, joins us. Brendan Weesey on the program, too. He never went away. He's still here. And comedian Paul Tompkins. Also, Julie won't be here, but you'll be here. So that's pretty much the lineup. We'll see you at noon.
John Carney, Julie Buck. Weekdays at noon on KTRS. The talk of St. Louis.
I'm still going for it, even with higher stroke risk from atrial fibrillation, an irregular heartbeat not caused by a heart valve problem. Over a 3-year study, Eliquis apixaban tablets reduce stroke risk better than warfarin, and over 97% of Eliquis patients did not experience a stroke. A first stroke occurred in 2.9% of warfarin patients versus 2.3% of Eliquis patients.
Don't stop prescription Eliquis without asking your doctor. Stroke risk may increase. Eliquis can cause serious and potentially fatal bleeding. Don't take if you have an artificial heart valve, abnormal bleeding, or antiphospholipid syndrome. While taking, you may bruise more easily or bleed longer. A spinal injection increases blood clot risk, which may cause paralysis. Get medical help right away for unexpected bleeding or bruising, or back pain, tingling, numbness, muscle weakness, or incontinence. Aspirin products, NSAIDs, SSRIs, SNRIs, and blood thinners increase bleeding risk. Tell your doctor about planned medical or dental procedures. Learn more at Eliquis.com or call 1-855-ELIQUIS.
This is KTRS News. I'm Sobe Bay. Missouri carried out its first execution of 2025. 48-year-old Lance Shockley was put to death by lethal injection last night for the murder of Missouri State Highway Patrol Sergeant Carl Dwayne Graham Jr. in March of 2005. Shockley had long proclaimed his innocence. Hours before his execution, Shockley released a final statement with a Bible passage from the Gospel of John. So also you have sorrow now, but I will see you again, and your hearts will rejoice, and no one will take your joy from you. The mayor of St. Louis says she is waiting for Sheriff Alfred Montgomery to do the right thing. Montgomery is refusing to resign despite the fact that he's in jail. Yesterday, a federal judge revoked Montgomery's bond after the prosecution argued in court filings that there was a serious risk he would attempt to threaten, injure, or intimidate witnesses or jurors. Meanwhile, St. Louis Mayor Kara Spencer issued the following statement. The absurd situation at the sheriff's office has reached new heights and must now come to an end. I urge Sheriff Montgomery to do what's right for the city and resign his office. Should he continue to only prioritize serving himself, I hope the court will move quickly to remove him. Our office stands ready to support the sheriff's office during a time of transition. A Parkway West high school student is accused of bringing a gun to school. School officials say administrators were alerted yesterday of the student being in possession of a gun. They said the gun was confiscated and police were called. Upon investigation, officials say there was no intent by the student to cause harm at Parkway West High School, and the minor did not display the weapon. With winter weather just around the corner, the Missouri Department of Transportation will hold its annual winter operations drill tomorrow. Motorists may notice an increased number of MoDOT vehicles on state routes during the drill, which will begin at 8 a.m. in rural areas and 9 a.m. in urban areas. The exercise is expected to be completed by 3 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. Community colleges in the Metro East are joining other schools across Illinois for a food drive that kicks off today. More from KTRS's Steve Potter.
The second annual Feed the Need Campus Food Drive is designed to address food insecurity and to support both students and the communities that they live in by collecting non-perishable food items that will go to local pantries and campus-based food banks. Last year, more than 91,000 food items were collected, and organizers say they hope to exceed that with this drive, and they're encouraging that donations be made starting today at designated locations on community college campuses. According to recent studies, as many as 39% of community college students currently face food insecurity. The Feed the Need Campus Food Drive will continue through December the 1st. Steve Potter, KTRS News.
This KTRS Business Minutes is brought to you by Walter Knoll Florists, the place for all your floral needs. Place your order anytime at WKF.com. A sports bar and restaurant that focuses on women is coming to the St. Louis area. The Sports Bra, which televises women's sports, announced it will open a location on Manchester Road in Maplewood early next year. The Sports Bra location will be operated by owners Heather Hill and Sarah Pilsner under the entity Pilsner Hill Group, LLC. And now this look at the markets is brought to you by JBL Financial. Tune in to Straight Talk on Retirement, Saturday mornings, 9 to 11 a.m. At the close today, Wall Street, Dow Jones up 62 points to 46,332. S&P 500 up 20 points to 6,664. The Nasdaq up 120 points to 22,642. Now let's check sports and traffic with Captain Paul Kopsky.
Sobe, the Blues are back home tonight as they welcome the Blackhawks to the Enterprise Center. Chicago is coming off their first win of the season Monday night over Utah. And Mizzou running back Ahmad Hardy has been named the College Football Hall of Fame Player of the Month. Hardy currently leads all of the SEC in rushing by nearly 200 yards over the closest competitor. I'm Paul Kopsky from the Royal Banks of Missouri Sports Desk, and now on to traffic.
Meep, meep.
Eastbound 70 bogs down at Memorial and Pine in the depressed section. Southbound 270 is heavy from north of Olive down to Manchester. Eastbound 64 is congested from Illinois 157 to 159 with speeds about 20 miles per hour. Westbound 64 is busy in front of Forest Park. And southbound 55 is running slow from Gasconade to 4500 South Broadway. This traffic report is brought to you by the Rack House in Cottleville. Stop by for brunch or happy hour or plan your next event, specifically group outings or holiday parties at the Rack House. The Rack House featuring a seasonal menu and upscale casual dining and drinks since 2014. From the KTRS Traffic Center, I'm Captain Paul Kopsky on the Big 550 KTRS.
Thank you, Captain Paul. KTRS weather. Tonight, clear skies, light wind, overnight low of 62. Tomorrow, mostly sunny, high of 84. Right now, we have 82 degrees. The time is coming up on 5:09. I'm Sobe Bay, KTRS News, the talk of St. Louis.
Scott, can you believe it's already been more than a decade since the Queen of Carpets sold flooring to St. Louis area contractors?
I know, but I don't have to be a king to offer contractors today's lowest prices.
Yes, contractors owe it to their customers and themselves to shop at Best Buy Flooring for the largest in-stock selection of carpet, carpet tile, sheet vinyl, laminate, hardwood, luxury vinyl plank, and luxury vinyl tile.
Plus 3 convenient locations, North County, South County, and Metro East.
Open 7 days a week.
Best flooring, best selection, Best Buy. Best Buy Flooring.
Gingham's Homestyle Restaurant has been a staple in St. Charles for 35 years. Our comfortable, casual atmosphere offers some of the best comfort food you've ever had. Customers might know our delicious breakfast, but you can have whatever you want, anytime you want, with our full menu 24 hours a day. Nothing warms your heart like Gingham's famous vegetable soup, and we can cater your event, too. If you like homestyle food and great friendly service, you'll love Gingham's Restaurant in St. Charles. 636-946-0266 or ginghamsrestaurant.com.
October is officially Financial Planning Month. The One Beautiful Bill Act locked in many of the tax laws set to revert back to the 2017 rules. But there were also changes to the tax code in this law, and we can help. If you're not taking full advantage of the tax law and you feel like you're paying more than your fair share, then let us help you plan for 2026 and take advantage of the new tax rules.
Give Capital Advisory Group a call at 636-394-5524. Online at capitaladvisorygrp.com.
You're listening to the Heidi Glaus Show with Josh Gilbert and Bob Ramsey on the Big 550 KTRS.
The Defense Department has threatened to revoke press credentials of news organizations that don't agree to restrictive new coverage rules. So far, only one outlet has agreed. Pete Williams, longtime journalist and former Defense Department spokesman under George H.W. Bush, joins us with his insight. What an honor to talk to you. Thanks for making time for us this afternoon.
You bet. My pleasure.
So let's start by what the Defense Department is now asking of the media.
The Defense Department has put out a 21-page memo saying that if people want to continue to be reporters who can enter the Pentagon with a Pentagon badge, they have to sign a form that says that they will not try to report anything that isn't authorized for release by the Pentagon leadership. It says that Defense Department information has to be approved for public release even if it's unclassified. And that simply means what's going on here is that the Pentagon leadership wants to try to control what gets reported.
Of course. How has this been different from years past? You could just wander the halls and if you heard something, print something, so to speak?
Well, if you heard something, I would hope as a reporter you'd try to verify it. But yes, I mean, when I was the Pentagon spokesman in the first Bush administration, reporters did have pretty much free reign of the building. I mean, they couldn't go into classified spaces. They couldn't waltz into the National Military Command Center and sit in on the meeting of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. But they could work the halls. They could talk to people. They could, like they do at the Justice Department, where I was a reporter for NBC, or at the Supreme Court, or at the White House even. Now, obviously, at the White House, the movement of reporters is restricted, but I always thought it was a point of pride that the reporters who covered the building came to the same place of work that the senior leadership of the Pentagon did. I thought it was good for the government and good for the reporters.
Pete, like you, I find this very disturbing. Are they suggesting in their policy that if you write a story, you got to run it by someone first, or is it just the information that's released to you? What about the stuff you discover on your own? How does all that supposed to work?
Well, they're not asking that they can review stories. What they're saying is that if reporters get information from officials, military or civilian, in the Pentagon that's not approved, they lose their access. They could lose their access to the building. Now, as a practical matter, the reporters are not coming into the building. As of today, any reporter that refused to sign this form is leaving. I've seen pictures from AP of reporters clearing out their spaces and leaving because they're not going to sign this form.
So what, as the defense secretary, what are we worried about? Is this about leaks? Is this about bad press? When you were there, did you guys have to deal with leaks?
Well, of course. We have to deal with leaks all the time. Now, some leaks are certainly hazardous. They can do great damage, but that's just the cost of being a democracy. I think what this is all about is unhappiness with stories after the United States struck suspected Iranian nuclear sites. There were stories saying that in spite of what the president said, that it was completely destroyed or obliterated, I think is the term he used, some key nuclear enrichment facilities. There was a bomb damage assessment that said it was less than thorough, less than a complete destruction. I think the Pentagon didn't like that. I think the president didn't like that. And they're trying to put an end to that sort of thing. I also think that this is a way of trying to control what the press reports about Pete Hegseth, who, as you know, has had some problems as Secretary of Defense. This really is about trying to control what gets reported.
And Pete, what does this mean for the common person like us watching their favorite news program?
It means that you're not going to get as much information about what the military is up to. Now, I think this policy is not going to work if the secretary, he calls himself Secretary of War, if he thinks this is going to end critical stories about him. National security reporters can still talk to people on the phone. They can still meet people. They'll still write stories that the Pentagon won't like. What's going to happen here is that you'll lose a lot of the flavor of what really is happening in the hallways of the Pentagon. I understand the Pentagon's desire to control access to classified information, but it goes beyond that. It says that any military personnel need approval before sharing any information with reporters. And of course, that's what reporters do all the time. So what this means is they can't just walk up to somebody and say, "What do you think of? What are you up to? What do you think of what the secretary's doing?" That kind of reporting is not going to be as easy. It's not going to be impossible, but it's not going to be as easy. And the real danger here is, as you all understand, most Americans these days with an all-volunteer military don't really have much contact with the military anymore. Maybe they have a relative in the military, but fewer and fewer Americans can even say that. So we're losing touch with the military, and this will simply increase the amount of space between the public and the military. It's a bad idea. It's not going to work.
And maybe I'm just not thinking about it hard enough, but what kind of stories from the Pentagon are we reading as civilians that we really need to know about? How much they spend on things, where the military is going, attacks that happen abroad that we're involved in?
Yes, and yes. Yes to all of that. And what policies is the Pentagon coming up with? What policies are under consideration? This is the sort of thing that reporters do all the time about any government agency. And the people who run these government agencies sometimes don't like to see that. They want to have complete control over the information that comes out. But guess what? That's what a democracy is all about. And here's another point. News organizations have undoubtedly earned their stripes in covering the military. 7 journalists from the New York Times died covering combat in World War II, Vietnam, and Afghanistan. 4 NBC journalists died covering military operations in Vietnam. My former colleague David Bloom died while reporting on the Iraq War. NPR lost 2 journalists in Afghanistan. The idea that they haven't earned their stripes and the right to cover the American military is just insulting.
And Pete, I'm scratching my head here a little bit on this. Secretary Hegseth, okay, we could argue he wasn't a journalist, but he was a commentator. But where he used to work, there are some journalists there that do really good work, and I can't believe somebody wouldn't have called him and said, Pete, this is a bad idea. What are you doing? I can't believe they're moving forward with this.
Well, they may well have done that. And, of course, Fox News is one of the organizations that refused to sign this memo. Most news organizations have refused to sign it, and that's why they're clearing out of the building.
Yeah.
This is not good. This is not good for the Pentagon. Let me tell you why I say that. I mean, it's obviously not good for journalists. It's going to make their jobs much, much harder. Not impossible, but much harder. But secondly, it's not in the interest of the Defense Department. It's very short-sighted. When I was the Pentagon spokesman, I found it very handy to have journalists close at hand when I needed to reach out to them, answer their questions, urge corrections, suggest approaches in reporting, provide guidance, find out what they're working on. That just made sense to me, and they're going to lose all of that now.
And I completely forgot the secretary himself came from television news.
Well, let's not say news because he's a commentator, and I do think, that's one of the.
He's never done any reporting.
Right, there is a big difference, and I feel like, and this is just where I get on my soapbox. This is where we are losing credibility in our news organizations because people don't know the difference between the two.
Well, that's true, Heidi. I think, and perhaps cable news is something of a contributor to that. Yeah. And so I plead a little bit guilty of that from my association with a cable outlet, but when I worked for NBC. But, the problem here is a lack of understanding of what the press is supposed to do. The press is not there just to act as a conveyor belt to publicize whatever press releases the government wants to put out. The democracy thrives when people ask questions, challenge assumptions, and when leadership of any government agency survives that, their credibility grows. I think this undercuts the credibility of the Defense Department as well.
And expound a little bit more on the working relationship between journalists in the building, whether it's the White House, the Capitol, or the Pentagon, and the people that work there. Is it convivial or is it confrontational?
Well, it's a little of both, I think. When I can tell you my experience on both sides, because I was a reporter for 29 years at NBC, but before that I was the Pentagon spokesman. And reporters, yes, would come into my office and say, hey, I'm working on a story. This is what I think the facts are. Can you help me? I'll give you one example. A great reporter for the New York Times named Michael Gordon, after the military operation in in Panama that resulted in the arrest of Manuel Noriega, he came to me and said, hey, I think that the first attempt by using F-117s in combat to bomb didn't work. And I thought, no, this can't be right. He's wrong. And I eventually found out, actually, he was right. And he did a very interesting story about it. And there was, as a result of his reporting, even Colin Powell, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, didn't know what Michael Gordon had found out. So reporters find out stuff. That's part of the benefit of having a really good press corps that understands the issue. And being in the Pentagon all the time is also an education. They're learning about how things work. I found that out when, I started covering the Justice Department. There was so much I didn't know, but because I had relatively free reign to walk around the building and ask people, how does this work? What is this all about? I became, I think, a better reporter. Same thing for those people at the Pentagon.
Yeah, that is so well said. Pete Williams, again, thank you so much for taking some time out of your day to spend it with us and give us your opinion and your insight. We really appreciate it.
My pleasure.
It's Julie Buck here. I feel like we would all be hard-pressed to find somebody that doesn't have that AAA card in their wallet, because we know when we trust AAA. Well, when it comes to travel, AAA is such a big deal because you get all kinds of discounts. And right now, they're at it again with stunning travel getaways and incredible offers. Book your Maui getaway by October 31st, Halloween, and you will enjoy up to $2,720 just in savings per booking on select vacations. Your 5-night Hawaiian escape could include round-trip airfare, complimentary room upgrade, car rental, and more. And if you book now, you could get up to $1,000 in future AAA travel credit. Book online today at AAA.com/travel. The internet is for looking, but AAA Travel is for booking.
Your dentures no longer fit? Maybe you're missing a tooth or several teeth. Visit Dr. Bowen for Simply Secure Dentures and Dental Implants, the cutting-edge, high-quality dental implants that replace all the teeth in your mouth, and it starts as low as $7,000, not the $35,000 that others charge. If you're only missing a few teeth, Dr. Bowen can permanently replace those with something you don't have to take in and out of your mouth. Learn more at simplysecuredentures.com and get the care you need and the teeth you want at Bowen Dental Care or simplysecuredentures.com.
Kick off football season like a pro with the world's largest sports book at your fingertips. Circa Sports Illinois. It's sports betting the way it should be. With high app limits, low holds, exceptional customer service, and no bet fees ever. Other books may charge you just to get on the field, but with Circa Sports, every play is yours to call. Start betting like a pro from anywhere, anytime in Illinois. Download your new bookie today at circasports.com.
Must be 21 or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. You're listening to the Heidi Glaus Show with Josh Gilbert and Bob Ramsey on the Big 550 KTRS.
Well, you can drive a new car, but it's going to be more expensive than ever. Alex Stone, ABC News correspondent in L.A., joins us with some new data from Kelley Blue Book. What did you find out?
Yeah, so they're saying now that the data that they've got, the average price of a new car in the U.S. is now above $50,000 for the first time ever, that the average price that Americans are paying. And car prices, yeah, they went up a little bit in September because of the tariffs and fears over tariffs, but this goes on beyond that coming out of the pandemic and supply and demand, you remember people were paying way over MSRP for a while and prices came up. But those who have the means are buying more expensive luxury vehicles and electric cars, and they cost more. And economists say this has turned into a situation where those who have made good investments over the last year or two, and you've seen in your 401k and in your investments that the money has been growing, that they can afford more and are driving up prices, and those who can't or don't invest are being left behind in this. And the car makers are tailoring what's available to a higher end market because that's what people want to buy. They don't want the low end. And not only in cars, I mean, look at airlines. That's why Southwest has gone away from the low-cost carrier model, going to mainline now and offering the perks of a mainline airline. Spirit is struggling to survive right now because people have come out of the pandemic with money to spend and they're willing to do it. We talked to Stephen Cates at Bankrate. He put it this way.
The portion of people who are buying those higher end vehicles, a lot of that may be electric vehicles, which generally have a higher sticker price, larger SUVs, luxury vehicles. Those are a bigger share of what is being sold today. We're seeing that lower end cars, less expensive cars, they are making up a much smaller share of what's being currently sold.
And the data shows that new cars and newer used cars are very close in price right now. So even a used car where you might go, well, I'm just going to go and save, 10 grand. That's not an option now for buyers trying to save money, especially those that are going to go for a while, Toyota, Honda, those, that it may not be that much cheaper.
Costs are pretty similar. When I looked up the cost of a 2021 Nissan Sentra versus a brand new one, the cost difference is roughly $1,000. So you could buy a brand new car for just a little bit more than you might buy a 4-year-old certified pre-owned car. So what is the better value?
And he said from a financial standpoint, you would say you would go new in that case if you're only going to save $1,000 because you get a 4-year newer vehicle that's going to last you 4 more years and not have all the maintenance on it. One economist said today the $20,000 car is now a thing of the past for the most part. That, yeah, you can get a basic car in the upper 20s, low 30s, but they're not as desirable, and that's not what consumers are shelling out money for. Also, the same trend talking about airlines. Listen to this. He says this just shows you that people are willing to spend more.
Another example is Delta Airlines Airlines just reported they expect more revenue coming from first class and premium cabins than they do from the rest of the airplane.
Wow.
Frankly, just people who have the means are spending, and those who are feeling more squeezed, they're staying home.
And that's why you don't get a complimentary upgrade any longer, because people are willing to shell it out. But this comes as Edmunds today said average debt for Americans is at an all-time high right now, and more car owners are underwater. So some of this is just perceived money that they have, and then it doesn't work out that way. Real quickly, some figures for you. The average new car, $50,000. SoFi says the average salary in the U.S. is now $66,622. Experian says the average new car loan, because of the price, has been expanded out to 6 or more years, with the average car payment over those 6 or more years to be $749 a month.
No.
And ZipRecruiter says the average monthly take-home pay is $4,800 a month. So a big chunk of what people are making is going to a car payment. And then you got to take into account maintenance. In 6 or more years, you're probably going to go through 2 sets of tires, maybe brakes. Something's going to break on that car in 6 or more years that you're going to have to pay to fix. Electricity or gas, whatever kind of car you've got. Families are going to need 2 or more cars if you've got kids that are beginning to drive. So now double it, triple it. Insurance is getting more expensive. So it is expensive to own a car right now.
Wow.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you, you sort of answered the question a little bit, Alex, regarding what are all the causes, and you mentioned tariffs, but that's not the whole point. I wonder if anybody's forecasting ahead that this, very few things ever go backward in price, but if this acceleration of price will slow down as car manufacturers maybe get things under control domestically.
Well, it will if the economy has a problem. If people all of a sudden can't pay for cars and they're going for the cheaper vehicles or can't pay at all, it'll go the other way. What's that?
Can we still get a Yugo?
No, none of that anymore.
Okay.
But yeah, if all of a sudden we're saying, you know what, Americans aren't buying cars because they can't afford them, well, then automakers are going to make cheaper cars at that point, and that would be the incentive.
Well, Alex, you kind of mentioned it with the airlines as well. I went to the movies when I was out in San Diego last time, and they had, half bottles of wine for $100. The food was insane. It almost felt like they said, we're catering to people with money, and the normal people, we don't care, and we don't even want them here. And it kind of feels like that's starting to come in everywhere.
Yeah, airlines, cars. I mean, you heard the economists there say if you don't have the means, you're kind of just out now and struggling to figure out how you're going to do it.
Yeah, well, it's just a bigger kind of gap between the haves and the have-nots. Alex Stone, ABC News correspondent in L.A., always great to chat with you.
You too. Thanks, guys.
And it really did feel like this movie theater. And it wasn't like when you went to the fan. It was a regular movie theater.
Yeah.
It was showing How to Train Your Dragon. And it just really felt like they were like, I mean, come and pay your money. And if you don't, we don't care if you don't come. Because they're getting enough money from, the rich people that I guess it'll keep them afloat.
Yeah, it's an interesting time, to say the least. 5:31. Captain Paul, how's traffic moving along?
Heidi, no accidents, just some slow traffic. Southbound 270 is heavy from north of Olive down to Manchester. In Illinois, eastbound 64 is congested from a mile east of 157 to 159 with speeds about 20 miles per hour. Westbound 64 is busy in front of Forest Park. Eastbound 64 bogs down at 170 but opens up at Big Bend. And southbound 55 is running slow from Gasconade to 4500 South Broadway, where it's bumper to bumper. From the KTRS Traffic Center, I'm Captain Paul Kopsky on the Big 550 KTRS.
Well, it's not just cars that are more expensive. Everything is more expensive. You talk about redoing a roof or putting in new windows. But here's the good news. 2025 is your last chance to grab a $600 tax credit. Now, Dalco Home Remodeling, which of course does doors and windows and roofs and siding and even complete remodels of your bathroom, they are even giving you more savings. Dalco and Target Windows and Doors are offering an additional $60 per Elite Series window. That's up to 10 windows, and even better, 0% financing for 18 months. So if you're looking at your house and thinking, you know what, We might not need to do it yet, but it's coming in the near future. Go ahead and take advantage of that $600 tax credit before the end of the year. Now, this Dalco home remodeling promotion ends November 15th, so you have about a month, and then the windows do have to be installed by the end of the year. But go ahead, call Dalco, learn more about this great promotion and how much money you can save. 314-648-8113. You can also go online to dalcohomeremodeling.com.
Schrader Funeral Homes and Crematory, St. Louis's oldest family-owned funeral home, offering complete funeral, burial, and cremation services, including an on-site reception center and crematory. 150 years of serving St. Louis families. Visit them at schrader.com.
Hey, it's Julie Buck for our friends at Triad Bank. They are a full-service financial institution, and they've been in St. Louis for over 20 years with 2 locations, one at Clayton and Lindbergh, and the other one just west of 270 on Olive. If you've got your own business and you want to have a better banking experience, look no further than Triad Bank. Their mission is to provide a wide range of commercial and personal banking services to you and your business. For more, go to triadbanking.com.
You're still glowing, flirting, grooving. You've still got it. But your immune system weakens as you age, making it harder to fight flu, pneumococcal pneumonia, RSV, and COVID-19. Vaccines are a key part of any health routine and help strengthen your immune response. Ask your doctor or pharmacist which vaccines you need. Schedule in minutes at vaxassist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
When you pay for tree work, you want to be sure you're getting the most for your hard-earned money. That's why you should always use the ISA certified arborist at River City Tree Service in Baldwin, Missouri. Hi, I'm Steve with River City Tree Service, and we've been the go-to tree service since 2008. Tree removal, tree trimming, storm damage, deadwood removal, stump grinding, and more. Give River City Tree Service a call for all your tree service needs at 314-270-8071. That's 314-270-8071. River City Tree Service.
I'm Farmer Dave, and here's my good friend and owner of MasterCars Inc., Alex Rosenberger, with today's hot MasterCars Inc. deals.
Hey, thanks, Farmer Dave. This is our favorite motoring season. Great top-down weather or getting the bike out. The temps are perfect. Of course, we can fix you up with one if you're in need. Attractive financing options available with no payments until 2026. Keep that in mind. Now, if you have one and don't need it, we can help there too. We're always looking for super clean, low-mile, pristine Corvettes, muscle cars, classic cars, luxury cars, you name it. Motorcycles too, especially Ducatis and Harleys. We'll even buy entire collections. Hop on our site, submit what you've got, and we'll get you an offer. Easy as that.
So rev that motor and point your car in the direction of MasterCars Inc. and buy or sell today. 4100 Namioki Road in Granite City, or visit MasterCarsInc.com to get more details. That's MasterCarsInc.com.
Let's talk about high school for just a moment, because that young man you brought home from the hospital yesterday, you're going to blink your eyes, and all of a sudden now you start talking about high schools. Well, that's where St. Mary's Southside Catholic High School comes in, because it's an all-boys, independent Catholic high school. And what St. Mary's will do is they will prepare your son to be the future. Whether it's college, trade work, or a career of their choice, St. Mary's, over the years, has produced a whole lot of millionaires and a couple of billionaires along the way. And when you graduate from St. Mary's, you have that alumni as a resource. Schedule your visit today and find out more about St. Mary's. stmaryshs.com. That's stmaryshs.com. They will teach the skills that are needed to thrive and survive in the 21st century, as well as teaching old school values. To find out more, stmaryshs.com. That's stmaryshs.com.
I'm Mark Miller, owner of Miller Furniture and Mattress, your home for quality American-made furniture since 1927. We offer the largest selection of Amish-made furniture in the St. Louis area, plus quality living room furniture from Flex Steel and Smith Brothers. We carry top-quality mattresses from world-famous brands like Tempur-Pedic, Stearns & Foster, and Chatham & Wells. Shop our Belleville, Fairview Heights, Lake St. Louis, and Ellisville showrooms. At Miller Furniture, we put the family in furniture.
You're listening to the Heidi Glaus Show
with Josh Gilbert and Bob Ramsey
on the Big 550 KTRS.
Let's talk a little entertainment news. How about this? It was 74 years ago in 1951 that I Love Lucy premiered on CBS. It ran for 6 seasons, then returned for another 3 seasons as Lucy and Desi's comedy hour before living on in reruns for 7 decades.
Lucille Ball was undeniably one of the all-time greats. But
One of a kind.
But Desi Arnaz sort of invented the modern sitcom and the 3-camera shoot
true.
and all those things and really developed it. Really an amazing power couple.
Yeah, and you think then when you bring in the 2 neighbors, I'm drawing a blank real quickly.
Fred,
yeah, like how it really kind of sets the standard
Yes.
for that 4-person comedy when you look at all of it.
Wacky neighbors.
Wacky neighbors.
All right, here's my question, though. Did people really sleep in separate beds back then?
No, you,
TV.
you couldn't show it on TV.
Okay, you just couldn't
it was
show it.
right.
So, okay.
In fact, they also broke ground by able to say that she was pregnant.
Yes, they did.
Oh,
Both
yeah.
of those things.
Yeah. Yep.
Kim Kardashian is finally talking about what finally ended her marriage to Kanye West. She shared that she didn't feel safe physically or emotionally or financially before claiming that Kanye had given away 5 Lamborghinis to his friends during a, quote, episode, unquote.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, that would do it, wouldn't it?
Why did it take that long to realize he was a nut?
I think she just thought it was kind of him for a second and then didn't realize it was an episode. Michael J. Fox was only 29 years old when he was diagnosed with Parkinson's, which is just shocking. You think about how long he had it before we even knew. He's 64 now, and his mortality is not lost on him. And in a recent interview, he said, there are not many people who have had Parkinson's for 35 years. I'd like to just not wake up one day. He said, that would be really cool. I don't want to be dramatic. I don't want to trip over furniture, smash my head. He also shared that it's mysterious and enigmatic living with Parkinson's. He said there's no timeline, there's no series of stages that you go through, there's not like the same way that you would with, say, prostate cancer or another cancer. You just don't know, which is kind of scary, right?
Yes.
Kevin Federline has a new memoir coming out, and I've avoided reading this story for a while, but since everybody else is talking about it, I thought I would share that he makes it pretty clear he does not think Britney Spears should have been released from her conservatorship. He says the truth is this situation with Britney feels like it's racing towards something irreversible. It's become impossible to pretend everything's okay. And he talks about their sons. He claims they used to be afraid to spend time with their mother because of her erratic behavior. So now Britney is speaking up. A rep for her says, with news from Kevin's book breaking, once again, he and others are profiting off her, and sadly it comes after child support has ended with Kevin. All she cares about are her kids, Sean Preston and Jaden James, and their well-being during this sensationalism.
There's some crazy stories coming out of there, though.
There really are.
All these people that were outside of the courthouse in L.A. saying free Britney, this and that, the judge has seen all the evidence.
Right.
Why aren't
we haven't.
We haven't. Why aren't we trusting the judge in this one?
Well, he
But I
did
guess
let her go.
Ultimately, he did.
Yeah, I was going to say it had nothing to do with all the people standing outside and the evidence. Did you know Bill Murray and Darius Rucker are real life friends who play golf quite a bit?
I did not know that.
It's an interesting
And
combo,
I'm a big
isn't
fan
it?
of both.
So they were together recently at a music festival where Darius headlined, and Bill, of course, took the stage with his blues band. Between sets, the two sat down for an interview and were asked a very delicate question. Who's the better golfer? Bill jumped in with a grin and said that Darius, quote, used to be an exciting golfer, which is the nicest way possible to say that he was terrible. Apparently, Darius has gotten a lot better since then, and he said, I couldn't believe it when I played with him, and he shot like a 75.
Holy
so
cow.
It's up in the air as to who is truly better. They kind of danced
We need a
around.
TV match.
Yeah, all of that. Do you remember the big fallout for the former host of the third hour of Good Morning America, Amy Robach and TJ Holmes after it.
I loved Amy Robach.
Yeah.
She was really good.
And I met her once. She was actually in town covering the big lottery winner over in Redbud, Illinois.
Oh, yeah.
And we stood beside each other doing our report. She was very kind. Well, it was a big scandal that they were dating. And now they're engaged. They announced the news on their podcast with her saying, "We are sharing with all of you that we are engaged. We've been engaged for about a month now." He then adds, "We wanted to let you all know before anybody else was able to. We've learned that lesson, I guess, in the past about our relationship," which is pretty funny.
I'm happy for them. I really thought that she was on the track to take the spot that ultimately Samantha Guthrie took. I really did.
She's good.
Yep.
I don't get it sometimes because I've worked in offices and I've worked at places and people there date each other all the time. I mean, they say you meet people at work. That's how you meet
Okay, but they were
people.
married to other people.
I mean, that's probably the biggest problem.
Yeah.
Comes up in conversation occasionally.
I mean, there's usually some kind of morale clause.
Yeah. And the real problem, and Marcia would know more about this, of course, but it's when you're not having a relationship with someone at the same level in the company.
level.
If somebody's higher than the other, and then it really can get sticky.
It can indeed. All right, let's talk some birthdays.
All right, I've got a few here. Paul Walter Hauser. You know him by name?
Oh, yes.
Cobra Kai. He was in Richard Jewell. He was in Black Klansman. He is not a leading man type, but he is a terrific
He's so
actor.
good.
Really good. How old is Paul Walter Hauser?
Galooly, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
He was really good at that.
I bet he's young. I bet he's 37.
I was going to say he's 42.
Right in the middle, 39. Ooh. How about this is one for me.
I was closer.
From Las Vegas, from Beverly Hills, 90210. She was Brenda Barrett on General Hospital. Vanessa Marcil.
Oh.
Yeah.
Remember her on Vegas?
Yes.
Hubba.
I'm going to say she's 55.
52.
57.
Ooh, I was closer.
Two more. And help me with the pronunciation.
Okay.
Emerald Lagasse.
Yeah, there you go.
Emerald Lagasse, celebrity chef. How old is Emerald? Bam! That's right. It says it on here, doesn't it?
66.
71.
What did you say?
66.
Bang! Got it.
Yeah!
Oh, I'm sorry. Bam! Got it. And one more. Stand-up comic and actor. You might remember him from Pretty Woman. He was
Oh, yes.
Larry Miller. I got to meet him once many, many years ago. He was on a comedy show with him and Bill Maher and a friend of mine who was like the opener of like 8 comics. And I got to hang out with him. A very nice man, Larry Miller.
Can't you just see him bringing in all the girls? Girls, come in for, yeah.
Yes.
He's very good.
He was the doorman on that episode of Seinfeld.
Oh,
he's
he
big,
was.
Yeah, he's big friends with Jerry. Larry Miller.
I'm going to say he's 69.
65.
72.
Whoa!
Then one more, take a shot. Former Cardinal. He just got bounced from postseason, Jack Flaherty.
Jack Flaherty.
So you should be able to figure this out.
I like Jack Flaherty. 29?
28.
30.
30! Oh, you were closer. That is your evening entertainment report here on the Big 550 KTRS.
If you're looking for your next home, think of First Community. Our Smart Choice Home Loan offers a 30-year fixed rate of just 6.531% APR to qualified borrowers, and you only need a down payment of 10%. Whether it's your first home, your forever home, or even a vacation home, be smart with a Smart Choice loan from First Community for all your savings and all your loans. Must qualify for membership. For terms and conditions, call toll-free 1-888-642-7969. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing lender.
Your biggest choice in home restoration is who do you trust with your home, your most valued asset. Few can match Banner Construction's experience and dedication to excellence. Banner is an elite preferred James Hardie contractor and Pella window specialist. Restoration is a one-time opportunity to have Banner's design team show you architectural options to make your home the neighborhood showcase. Call for a free consultation. 314-569-1050. And have a banner day.
The official birthplace of the toasted ravioli is
Mama's on the Hill.
And Mama's on the Hill serves the best in town. Mama's has been a mainstay on the Hill for decades and is still a family-run restaurant serving up great Italian food in a fun atmosphere. Open 7 days a week for lunch and dinner, and right in the heart of the Hill at Edwards and Bischoff. Delicious catering and party rooms too.
Mama's on the Hill.
Make reservations at 314-776-3100 and 24/7 at mamasonthehill.com.
Truck drivers, don't miss out on the unmatched consistency of a Schneider driving job. At Schneider, you can find a driving position that fits your lifestyle and goals, all while getting the pay you deserve. Plus, Schneider drivers operate state-of-the-art, well-maintained equipment and have access to award-winning benefits and a 24/7 support team. Explore Schneider's huge selection of driving jobs today and find your perfect fit at SchneiderJobs.com. That's SchneiderJobs.com.
Hey, it's Jill Farmer for Premier Heating and Cooling. St. Louis winters don't mess around, and neither should you. When those freezing temps hit, the last thing you want to do is discover your furnace isn't up to the job. That's why now is the perfect time to call Premier Heating and Cooling. Their certified technicians will give your system a full checkup, making sure it's safe, efficient, and ready to keep your family warm all season long. Think of it like an oil change for your car. A little preventative care now saves you from big, expensive breakdowns later. Plus, a tuned-up system runs more efficiently, which means lower energy bills when the cold really sets in. So don't wait until you're shivering under 3 blankets. Schedule your heating inspection today with Premier Heating and Cooling. Excellent rating with the Better Business Bureau. So many of their new customers are referred by happy customers like me. PremierHeatingCooling.net, 636-916-1122.
You're listening to the Heidi Glaus Show
With Josh Gilbert and Bob Ramsey.
on the Big 550 KTRS.
11 minutes before 6 o'clock. Let's get one final check of traffic with Captain Paul.
Heidi in Illinois, eastbound 64 is congested from a mile east of 157 to 159 with speeds about 20 miles per hour. Eastbound 64 bogs down at McKnight but opens up by Big Bend. Southbound 55 is crowded at South Broadway, and there's a stalled vehicle in the right lane of eastbound 270 past Lindbergh in North County. This traffic report is brought to you by Fielder Electric. See what everyone is saying about the pros at Fielder Electric. Whether it's a new build or a 100-year-old home, Fielder Electric has you covered. From the KTRS Traffic Center, I'm Captain Paul Kopsky on the Big 550 KTRS.
Well, we always love getting KTRS Sports Director Brendan Weezy's take here on our show. But tonight, you can see him on Sports Final on Fox 2 with Martin Kilcoyne. Look for him a little after 10:30 to share his knowledge there on Fox 2. That's kind of exciting. Are you guys scared of the dark?
Yeah.
A little bit?
Yeah, because you don't know what's there.
I know. So many times I've kind of stumbled or walked right into a door jam.
It goes back to prehistoric times. Because you don't know what's out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, you think we're born with it?
It's not a phobia. It's an instinct.
Well,
instinct, yeah.
In a new survey, 29% of American adults admitted they are still afraid of the dark. Now, interestingly enough, 28% say they love watching horror movies, and men are more likely to admit having nightmares after watching one, which I thought was interesting.
Yeah, I know I do. All right, are you afraid of the dark because, 1, you're afraid you're going to stub your toe?
Yes.
2, to Bob's point, you're afraid you're going to get
Eaten by a Tyrannosaurus Rex.
No.
Or a wolf.
Or a wolf or a bear.
Or 3, do you think there's a monster?
I don't think there are monsters.
Yeah, I don't think there's a monster. It's just what is lurking out there.
Yeah.
And that could be just the door.
Or did a kid leave Legos on the floor?
Yeah.
And I'm barefoot.
Yeah. Finn's got these little jewels from a pirate playset. Every corner is as sharp as the other one.
You better teach him to put those up.
I remember those days.
It's Jill Farmer, and I'm here with Jeff Zufall, Senior Tax Strategist and Wealth Advisor at Capital Advisory Group and author of the #1 best-selling book on new tax law, Keep What's Yours. Jeff, what do we need to know in October?
Jill, October is officially Financial Planning Month.
The One Beautiful Bill Act locked in many of the tax laws set to revert back to the 2017 rules. But there were also changes to the tax code in this law, and we can help. Since 1976, thousands of businesses have relied upon the tax strategies offered by Capital Advisory Group to help them reduce their future tax liability and stop overpaying their federal and state income taxes. If you're not taking full advantage of the tax law and you feel like you're paying more than your fair share, then let us help you plan for 2026 and take advantage of the new tax rule.
Give Capital Advisory Group a call, 636-394-5524. Online at capitaladvisorygrp.com. That's 636-394-5524 and online at capitaladvisorygrp.com.
Your biggest choice in home restoration is who do you trust with your home, your most valued asset. Few can match Banner Construction's experience and dedication to excellence. Banner is an elite preferred James Hardie contractor and Pella window specialist. Restoration is a one-time opportunity to have Banner's design team show you architectural options to make your home the neighborhood showcase. Call for a free consultation, 314-569-1050. And have a Banner day.
This is the sound of captivity. This is the sound of rescue. And this is the sound of freedom. Give Armenia's captive bears a second chance by supporting international animal rescue. Call 508-826-1083 or search The Great Bear Rescue to learn more.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. Ever wonder why Big Wireless wants you on an unlimited plan? They probably want you to cover the cost of those 20-somethings using all that data every month. But most people 50 and up like me only use 12 gigs or less. Don't get bamboozled by Big Wireless. Switch to Consumer Cellular. Our plans start at just $20, and we use the same towers as the big guys. Join the millions who choose something better, because if you're not using all that data, you're probably getting used.
Call 1-888-FREEDOM, visit consumercellular.com/fax or a store near you. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. See site for additional facts.
When you want to send flowers to a loved one for a birthday, anniversary, or that special occasion, call your friends at Walter Knoll Florist. Walter Knoll is family-owned and operated and offers custom designs by expert designers. A huge inventory and selection that only the largest florist can offer, with quality and care that no grocery store florist can meet. They have several locations in the St. Louis metro area to serve you. Order online today at WKF.com. That's WKF.com. Walter Knoll Florist, your personal florist since 1883.
Whether you're on your way to see the Tigers or coming back home from the game, be sure to plan a side trip to Overstock Outlet, the best random store around where new inventory from the major big box stores arrives daily. You never know what great deals you'll find, and it's right on your way. 2 locations, in Lake St. Louis at Highway N and Lake St. Louis Boulevard, and in Warrenton at Highway 47 and Highway M. Open every day from 10 until 5. Find them on Facebook at Overstock Outlet Lake St. Louis, or check out their weekly online auctions at overstockoutletauctions.com. Let's go Tigers!
Imagine all the things you dream of under one roof. You're thinking of eBay. Fashion, collectibles, car parts, it's all there. Go find the thing that keeps you up at night. eBay. Things people love.
You're listening to the Heidi Glaus Show
With Josh Gilbert and Bob Ramsey.
on the Big 550 KTRS.
All right, let's wrap this show up with a couple randoms.
All right, spelling bees are mostly unique to the English language due to its spelling irregularities.
And torture for some.
True. Other languages like Hindi, Italian, German, and Turkish have highly phonetic writing systems with virtually 1-to-1 ratio of letters to sound.
Makes more sense.
And it makes spelling very predictable. Maybe we're just a mishmash of Germanic and
It's
Romantic
where the melting
languages.
pot has failed us.
Yes, I would agree.
2 million years ago, Bob, there was a species of rat that was the size of a hippopotamus.
Oh, come on. Now I'm going to have nightmares now.
That is not true.
A hippo rat?
That's true.
A hippo rat.
No.
Come on.
From colonial times until World War II, May 1st was called Moving Day in New York City, and it was a tradition for millions of people to move on May 1st at 9 a.m.
Why?
Maybe that was like when all the leases came up.
That's weird.
And then we've heard the story of the Earl of Sandwich, but the first recorded sandwich in history was made by a rabbi named Hillel the Elder for Passover in the 1st century BC. It's a mix of nuts, apples, spices, and wine, Heidi. in between two pieces of matzah.
It just kind of
make it too mushy. Though.
Yeah,
that's not a good sandwich.
No, you get vinegar.
Wine on it.
You get vinegar on your sandwiches all the time.
Not on a piece of matzah, though.
Yeah,
I would try it.
Of course you will. He'll try anything except mushrooms. You guys, that does it for us. Thanks for hanging out with us on this Wednesday afternoon. Hopefully, you'll meet us right back here tomorrow starting at 3 o'clock. And until then, see if you can put a smile on somebody's face.
This is the story of the one. As a maintenance supervisor at a manufacturing facility, he knows keeping the line up and running is a top priority. That's why he chooses Grainger. Because when a drive belt gets damaged, Grainger makes it easy to find the exact specs for the replacement product he needs. And next day delivery helps ensure he'll have everything in place and running like clockwork. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Tired of ads interrupting your favorite news podcast? Good news. Ad-free listening on Amazon Music is included with your Prime membership. Yeah, stay up to date on everything newsworthy with podcasts like The Daily, Up First, and 5 Things, uninterrupted at Amazon.com/ad-free. Just head to Amazon.com/ad-free to catch up on the latest episodes without the ads.
Let's go! You're still glowing, flirting, grooving. You still got it. But your immune system weakens as you age, making it harder to fight flu, pneumococcal pneumonia, RSV, and COVID-19. Vaccines are a key part of any health routine and help strengthen your immune response. Ask your doctor or pharmacist which vaccines you need. Schedule in minutes at vaxassist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Hey, Doc, nice office. Quick question. If you had to choose, would you give yourself a root canal or run payroll?
Run payroll, no question.
Seriously? Well, have you run payroll before?
Paying my team with Gusto couldn't be easier. Gusto gives me unlimited payroll runs, next-day direct deposits, and automatically files my taxes. Saves me time.
Wow, that's nice.
Over here, Doc. Can I run payroll too?
Choose payroll without the pain. Visit gusto.com/radio to sign up for free.
Confidence is knowing you're ready to handle whatever comes your way. That's what it feels like to take on your workday with Cintas. They make sure your AEDs are up to date, your fire extinguishers are tested and inspected, your floor mats are cleaned and delivered, and your workwear looks good, feels good, and is freshly laundered with the Cintas Apparel Plus program. So are you ready to take on today? Visit Cintas.com.
Oh, I'm ready!
And get ready for the workday.
While retinitis pigmentosa takes Mark's vision, his family gives him hope, whether at the family business or at home with his wife and sons. He knows he's not fighting alone. For 50 years, the Foundation Fighting Blindness has funded research into treatments and cures for blinding retinal diseases, providing hope to people with vision loss. And for Mark, winning the fight means being there for his family. The Foundation Fighting Blindness. Together.
From ABC News, I'm Dave Packard. President Trump backing off Tuesday's veiled threat that the U.S. would militarily force Hamas to disarm if they don't do it themselves. Today, Trump saying we won't need the U.S. military. Israeli Defense Minister Israel Katz saying there are plans to resume fighting against Hamas if necessary. And bodies are being returned to Israel from Gaza. Israeli forensic specialists working to identify them as 19 hostages' bodies remain unaccounted for. ABC's Ian Pannell.
We spoke to one of the fathers of the, who's actually the youngest hostage, an American citizen, Itai Khan, who was a young soldier who was taken, and his body has been held inside Gaza. And he basically said, this isn't over. We need closure, and that means Israel, and in particular, the United States, maintaining maximum pressure.
Here at home on day 15 of the government shutdown, Russ Vought, the Trump administration's management and budget director, appearing on the Charlie Kirk Show podcast today, saying the number of federal employees he expects to lose their jobs has jumped higher than the 4,000 the president previously mentioned.
I think we'll probably end up being north of 10,000.
ABC's Jay O'Brien asked Senate Majority Leader John Thune about it.
John Thune said he believes that these are measures that the White House views as necessary because the government is shut down and they have to budget what little cash they have. But I pressed him and said, look, these are mechanisms that have never been used in other shutdowns and have never been needed in other shutdowns to keep the lights on of the federal government. And he said, look, it's the administration's prerogative to use the money how it sees fit.
This is today. A federal judge temporarily blocked the Trump administration from firing workers during the government shutdown. The Supreme Court hearing arguments in a case that would further gut the Voting Rights Act and strike down a provision that allows considering racial representation in drawing congressional districts. You're listening to ABC News.
You're still glowing, flirting, grooving. You still got it. But your immune system weakens as you age, making it harder to fight flu, pneumococcal pneumonia, RSV, and COVID-19. Vaccines are a key part of any health routine and help strengthen your immune response. Ask your doctor or pharmacist which vaccines you need. Schedule in minutes at vaxassist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Confidence is knowing you're ready to handle whatever comes your way. That's what it feels like to take on your workday with Cintas. They make sure your AEDs are up to date, your fire extinguishers are tested and inspected, your floor mats are cleaned and delivered, and your workwear looks good, feels good, and is freshly laundered with a Cintas Apparel Plus program. So are you ready to take on today? Visit Cintas.com and get ready for the workday.
This is KTRS News. I'm Sobe Bay. The mayor of St. Louis says she is waiting for Sheriff Alfred Montgomery to do the right thing. Montgomery is refusing to resign despite the fact that he's in jail. Yesterday, a federal judge revoked Montgomery's bond after the prosecution argued in court filings that there was a serious risk he would attempt to threaten, injure, or intimidate witnesses or jurors. Meanwhile, St. Louis Mayor Kara Spencer issued the following statement: "The absurd situation at the sheriff's office has reached new heights and must now come to an end. I urge Sheriff Montgomery to do what's right for the city and resign his office." A Parkway West High School student is accused of bringing a gun to school. School officials say administrators were alerted yesterday of the student being in possession of a gun. They said the gun was confiscated and police were called. Upon investigation, officials say there was no intent by the student to cause harm at Parkway West High School, and the minor did not display the weapon. St. Charles Mayor Dan Borgmeyer and St. Charles County Executive Steve Ellman signed an agreement today to transfer the current City Hall building to the county in exchange for millions of dollars of road work paid for by the county to help two major projects in the city of St. Charles. The agreement, now approved by both councils, says St. Charles County will give St. Charles City more than $4 million for the reestablishment of the north end of Main Street from Clark to Montgomery Street, passing through the new City Center complex. The site will be the new home of St. Charles City Hall by the end of 2026. This KTRS Business Minute is brought to you by Walter Knoll Florist, the place for all your floral needs. Place your order anytime at WKF.com. A sports bar and restaurant that focuses on women is coming to the St. Louis area. The Sports Bra, which televises women's sports, announced it will open a location on Manchester Road in Maplewood early next year. This Look at the Markets brought to you by JBL Financials. Tune in to Straight Talk on Retirement Saturday mornings from 9 to 11 a.m. Wall Street at the close, Dow Jones up 62 points, S&P 500 up 20, and NASDAQ up 120. I'm Sobe Bay, KTRS News, the talk of St. Louis.
Attention. Attention. Please make your way to the nearest radio.
It's time for the Press Box with Frank Cusimano on the Big 550 KTRS.
Powered by the Control Option.
Good evening and welcome to the Control Option Press Box on the Big 550 KTRS. It's the Wednesday slap. Charles Toon Edwards, Andy Strickland. Men, great to be with you. Andy, he's moving kind of slowly today.
Well, he is. He's got a little bit of a back injury. I did ask if he, just let him know that it's okay. No judgment here. If he needed a wheelchair, if he needed a walker with tennis balls on the bottom of it, or if he even has a wheelchair sticker, handicap sticker,
I'm too young to get
in his car, and he won't use that either. He's very stubborn in his old age.
The question is, how did he do it? He's going to claim it was on a squat of 300 pounds. I think it was just like bending down to pick up a pencil.
I think it was getting out of bed.
Yeah.
No. I was lifting weights and hurt myself. My trainer was trying to get me up my weight.
You were maxing out?
I'm maxed out. I'm not kidding. I've been at home in bed for the past 3 days.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah. Serious.
You didn't go to the country club or Cafe Napoli or any of those places?
Anywhere.
Wow.
Holy cow. How did you eat, by the way? What?
I have enough food.
Okay.
And the Frauleins would deliver.
Do you
Fraulein
DoorDash?
deliver food. What?
Do you DoorDash?
Yes. No, I had the other one. What's it? Uber.
Oh, Uber Eats?
I got Uber Eats.
And they delivered what to you?
Right there. Whatever I want. I've got barbecue. I had a steak yesterday that was pretty good.
Very nice.
Where'd you order your steak from?
What's the name of that place? Oh, it's the seafood place. I got it from the seafood place. Cheap
Details
place.
are kind of sketchy here.
I mean,
no, what's the place?
I mean,
Red
listen,
Robin,
if I
Red
was a
Robin,
detective
Red
and this was the interrogation
Red
room, I
Red
mean, you
Lobster.
are just
Red Lobster.
Okay.
Red Lobster. You got a steak from Red Lobster?
Yeah, I had to. I was hurting, man. I couldn't move.
Okay.
All right. Lots to discuss.
Oh, yeah.
First of all, your hockey team reports of their demise greatly exaggerated. What a nice Western Canada road trip. You were with them. This feels like the squad we anticipated.
Yeah, no, they played really well. And to be honest with you, they played well against Minnesota, too. I know the score wouldn't show that at all, but the first two periods, they completely controlled that game. They just had some bad bounces, and they couldn't score. They had a ton of chances in that game, so they could have been off to a really, really nice start. But to win the first two games on the road gives them that winning feel. I always say winning is a feeling. You know, it's like sometimes you just want to win just to get that feeling back. They didn't have a lot of that in the preseason, so now they have it, and you kind of get a good idea of how good this team can be, especially with the goaltending with both these guys, man. Both of them are really, really good, and you're going to see a lot more Joel Hofer this season.
What's the situation with Bennington in the Olympics? How long will he be gone?
Well, the whole NHL is going to shut down. So it's not like he's going to miss any time with the Blues, but they're going to miss like 3.5 weeks or something like that.
Yeah. Jake Neighbors has emerged in the first 3 games as their best scorer. Had a great game at home. Boy, we don't talk about him as much. I know you do, but he is only 23. He almost got 60 goals.
Yeah, no, he's got an all-around game, too. Everyone talks about the physicality and his kind of like throwback game that he brings to the table, but a lot more offense in his game than I think people realize. You know, he scored 27 a few years back, and he got injured down the stretch, could have really gotten to 30. Scored a ton of power play goals that year, too. But, you know, he does more than just, you know, clean up loose change around the net and get rebounds and get deflections. I mean, this guy can carry the puck. He can make plays. He protects it really well. He's a good passer. So I think he's got way more in his tool bag offensively than giving credit for. So there's a reason why this guy was a first-round pick, and we're seeing it.
This team reminds me of the 99 Rams. They're going to be the greatest show on ice. They're very exciting, a lot of offensive skills. I like this team.
Yeah.
And not coming out of nowhere, but the Snuggerud story is going to be unbelievable to watch unfold before our very eyes. Gosh, he's only 21. How about, I don't want to get too excited, but over-under goals if I say 23?
Oh, I think he has a chance to go over that.
I mean, potential 30 this year?
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, I had a scout actually tell me that on the road, that they think he's got 30 goals in his bag this year. Now, you know, he's not an 18-year-old kid who's coming in either.
Yeah.
You know, I think he's 21. Yes. So, you know, you're talking about a guy who, you know, brings some maturity, played 3 years of college hockey, played a couple of times in the World Juniors. And when you pack that level of a release, I mean, his ability to shoot the puck, I mean, most guys in the NHL can't shoot like that. I was saying when he was at Minnesota that he had the best release in the organization. And now we're seeing it here. His first goal the other day, most guys just can't shoot the puck like that. So if he continues to get chances like that, and if he continues to be on the number one power play, which he is right now, I know they have 2 units, but when you're on the Thomas unit and you're on the Fowler unit, to me, that's the number one unit. You're going to get those chances. You're going to find a way to score a lot of goals. His second goal, you know, sometimes the puck just finds goal scorers, and that's what happened in that goal, too. Plus, he had a nice assist on Robert Thomas's power play goal. So you keep getting power play chances and the power play scores, and this guy's going to have an opportunity, certainly, to get north of 23.
I don't know if it was a text from Connor or somebody recently, but those white Blues uniforms are just unbelievable. I mean, you can make a case for those uniforms being like,
they light up
as good as any uniform in pro sports today. It's just gorgeous, whatever they did.
Yeah, and it looks great. I think it comes across great on TV.
Yes.
Yep.
But it looks great up against the white
ice.
No, it's a beautiful jersey. I mean, you don't want to go too homer and say crazy things and say it's. But I haven't really seen a nicer jersey. Now, there's some traditional jerseys that you love. I love the original 6 jerseys, the Montreal Canadiens jerseys, the Toronto Maple Leafs jerseys, Boston, Chicago, Detroit. Love all those jerseys, Rangers. But this feels like an original 6 jersey. I mean, it just feels like a throwback.
Blackhawks have the best.
Okay, how
One
about
of them, for sure.
best unis in sports? I got to say this. I hate to say it, but the Rams in all white. That's kind of a good look.
New look.
I like the Ravens in all black, Who else would be a great uniform in pro sports today?
All the NFL teams now switching up every week. They got permission from the league.
I like the Rams blue and yellow.
Just
the classic.
I really do.
I mean, it's an unbelievable uniform, and they're fun to watch
My favorite
too.
union in baseball are the New York Yankees.
Oh yeah, pinstripes.
I love the pinstripes.
Yeah,
it means winning.
And listen, I love the Cardinals uniform too. They got a great logo.
Oh yeah, what are we saying? The birds on the bat.
Who designed
that?
That
used to be the most expensive logo. The design because it was.
It's an
stenciled.
iconic logo. Who designed that?
God, I do not know that. Let's kind of get on that.
I mean, whoever did that back in the
It used to be the most expensive baseball
1800s or whenever the hell they did that.
sketched
It's
in.
pretty remarkable that somebody came up with that design.
Speaking of original Cardinal stuff, you were probably around. We're actually doing a story on it because it's the anniversary this month of when